I'd like to call today's meeting to order. Don't have much of a voice today, so if y'all in the back can't hear me, tough. Just kidding. I'll try to do better. So just let me know with a thumbs up or down whether you can hear me. All right. So with that, we'll recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to thank everybody for being here today, and I will now recite the college mission statement. Dodge City Community College will provide opportunities for high-quality learning and will enhance community and personal development in a student-centered environment. And Trustee Hampton wanted to add some items to this, so Ms. Hampton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The mission is a thought provoker if you really listen to what it says, and I hope people do. But there are also several other statements that follow that mission statement, and I thought it'd be good if we were aware of that. There's a vision statement which says DC3 will be the model among peer institutions for delivering the highest quality education and career development. There are 9 points of core values, and then there is a philosophy. And it's 2 paragraphs, but I'd like to read 1 paragraph. The provision of higher education is a public responsibility. Therefore, Dodge City Community College recognizes the need to maintain a viable relationship with the community it serves. Furthermore, Dodge City Community College recognizes that all persons have a fundamental right to seek self-fulfillment through responsible participation in the learning environment. And when I was reading that again, I thought of who the communities are. Primarily 3 communities. Number 1, the students. Number 2, the owners. And number 3, the campus staff and the external community. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to bring that up because it goes with the mission.
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Hampton, for providing us with that and reminding us of the full mission statement. At this point, we'd like to open the floor to remarks from the audience. If there's any, please approach the microphone. Seeing none, thank you. Next, we'll move to the approval of the minutes, and I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes when ready.
I move.
Is there a second?
I second.
A second. Any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor of approval of minutes as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, next up, the completion of the agenda. So look at your updated schedule. You see some things are pulled from the consent agenda and put into the regular agenda. If there's any other changes to that, I will entertain those.
On A, business services, I'd like some discussion on A and B, and also on B, personnel, I'd like some discussion on number 2.
Dan, can you repeat that?
On
I'm not sure.
the consent agenda under business services, A, business services, A and B, approval of bills and approval of emergency expenses. Let's have some questions.
Okay, so on item 1B, did anybody?
Yes.
I
A and B.
beg your
One A
indulgence
and
on
B.
this.
1A and B.
1A and B. Okay.
And on personnel, B, number 2, RSVP director.
No.
It's number 2.
Right.
Yes, number 2.
Okay. there any other revisions to the agenda? Seeing none, those entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I second.
Second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Next up is reports to the trustees, so we'll start with the Student Government Association.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Mr. Chairperson and President Nolte. Tonight we start off with Choir Club. Members of the Choir Club presented a well-received concert on March 8th. The concert featured several solos, duets, small group, and large ensemble pieces. The Choir Club gratefully acknowledges the dozens of community members, faculty, staff, administrators, and board members who have donated to the club's upcoming trip to Ireland. So far, the club has raised over $2,000 to help its members participate in the Dublin Choral Festival. Student Nursing Association is selling raffle tickets for $20 and will have 30 different prizes. The raffle will take place on April 2nd. International Club held a leadership meeting last Thursday and are planning to do an Easter event. Student Government Association hosted an anti-bullying week this past week with different events each day and concluded it with bowling night this Sunday. They are also preparing to host another glow run on April 4th. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hernandez. Next up, we'll have the Academic Tutor of the Month presentations from Ms. Killian.
Good evening. Our March Tutor of the Month is Peter Sains. Peter is from Dodge City. His father is Carlos Sains. His major is engineering. He's a sophomore here at Dodge City Community College, currently holding a 3.78 GPA, and his plans are to transfer to K-State. Peter tutors for us in quite a few of our high-need subjects. He tutors in math, English comp, cell bio, and also economics. He has been a great asset to us this year in the ASC. He's always willing to help students. Of course, all of our tutors do that, but he's a lot of times will adjust his schedule to suit other students if possible. And recently we had a situation where he was asked by a student to do something that was unethical, and I was really proud of the way that he handled that without demeaning the student, but still held to his standards and did the right thing. So we're really proud of Peter. Come on up.
You're always in every picture.
Yeah.
One, two, three. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Killian, and congratulations, Mr. Sanger. All right, next up, Professor Spielbring will present the Phi Theta Kappa Student of the Month.
Hello, good evening. I have chosen Vanessa Hernandez. About time. Got to her on my list. She is, of course, from here. You know all of her many accomplishments already, I'm sure. She has a 3.65 GPA and is majoring in biology. Her future plans, she plans to transfer to Kansas State University and continue to major in biology. She plans to continue doing research with the Developing Scholars Program and then transfer to the University of Missouri, Kansas City to obtain her doctorate in dentistry. Her accomplishments, she is president of SGA and one of our vice presidents in PTK. She's attended the 2018 Emerging Researchers National Convention in STEM, where she presented research. And she's also been a part of K-State with the RIPS program. Okay. Congratulations, Vanessa.
Finally.
I know, I was looking at my list and I was like, how did I not? Oh, there's the.
Oh, whoops.
Just a small one.
Sorry. No big deal. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Spellbring, and congratulations, Vanessa. Job well done. Next up will be the trustees' report, so Trustee Malone, we'll start with you.
I don't have any, thank you.
Forced to.
I'll use his time.
Oh, wait.
Well, it's been a busy month and another busy month coming up. And I've been so pleased with a lot of the things that have happened with the college lately. And congratulations to Phi Theta Kappa, inductees. It was a nice ceremony. And those are the people, in fact, one of them is the one you just heard from. Those are the young people who are going to be sitting where we're sitting in a few years and a lot of other places. And we certainly need to encourage them and be proud of them. So that's one of the things that I wanted to say thank you also to their professors who have helped them get to that point. The Nurses Health Fair was really an exciting day. There were, excuse me, health providers from all over the state who came to visit with our students in our department. And I want to congratulate Melanie for what she's made out of that department. And in fact, Mr. Chair and Mr. President, I asked her if she would be willing to come to our next meeting and give us a report, and I think she will. She's built the pass rate up to higher than anybody else in the state, I think. So she needs to be supported. The legislative coffee that was held last Saturday was a lot of discussion about education funding, and we'll always have that discussion, I'm sure. But one thing I wanted to mention, because we have had that information, the Board of Regents passed a resolution. They would not support funding bills that were presented unless they include funding for higher education. And their point being that by 2020, which is not very far off, 2/3 of the jobs in the state are going to require more than a high school education. That's worthy of note. The 3I show was impressive. Our rodeo team presented the colors and came in carrying them with their horses. I mean, they were carrying the flags with their horses, and very impressive, and people are impressed by that. Then there was the first ever clinic for roping, and a champion that all of them know presented that clinic, and probably that will continue. But in addition to that, WKMA, which is the Western Kansas Manufacturing Association, and Dodge City Community College are in discussion about having a rodeo, inviting other colleges for a rodeo at the 3I show. And I want to congratulate our rodeo coach, Mr. Burrows. So he's working on those kind of things that are wonderful news. Thank you to the Ag Bank, Mr. Chair, that you sit on the board for the scholarships that they provided. That's a big plus for us, Ag scholarships. I want to mention also again, I've mentioned this before, the young people who are particularly making STEM and sciences their goals, and you just heard from one of those young ladies. 2 of them were asked to go to Washington, D.C. to present their papers at the Future Researchers Conference, and we also knew that 2 of our young ladies were STEM recipients of an award for presenting their papers at the annual meeting in Phoenix. And I'm just so proud of those things, and thank you to the faculty. Those people are outstanding that make those things happen. So I guess that's enough for this time.
That's not.
Oh, last night good, thank
Say
you.
something for me.
You can tell about that.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Anyway, thank you to Andrea and Dr. Nolde for making that happen, and you can tell about it.
During this last month, I attended the executive board meeting of the Dodge City Community College Foundation. That was wonderful, and I hope tonight, at the end of this meeting, we'll have more great news for the foundation, as the foundation and Christina work ever harder to have a very special event for our auction, and that is November 2nd. And so we're looking forward to that, at those of us who are involved with the foundation. I talked with Vice Principal of DCHS, Dodge City High School, Cherry Dejas, about the long article in the paper about CTE, career training, career and technical training program, and how DC3 might strengthen our collaborations with 443 in this area. I learned a lot that will help me on this board, talking to her about that. Dr. Nolte, others, and some board members met with Dr. Nolte, others, and I met with reps from High Plains Public Radio about a grant from the Mariah Foundation last week, and for honesty, I serve on the Mariah board, so I wore two hats in that meeting. I attended the work session, the trustee work session last week. I thought the discussions we had were vital and pertinent, and I think a lot of great information was exchanged, and I would like to thank those people involved in organizing that. I found it very, very beneficial. And then I would like to challenge my fellow trustees to buy at least 2 raffle tickets for the nursing scholarship, and that the scholarship will be drawn on April 2nd, so you have some time to buy those tickets. And I read the entire list of the prizes. Those young people have gone around the community, and the prizes are fabulous. If you know, it's not 2 pizzas. It's some wonderful, wonderful prizes. So please, trustees, buy those 2 tickets, or 4 or 8.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
I'll write a check.
Thank you for the challenge on that. It's hard to follow Florence Jean, so I'll pass it on.
I let Florence Jean use my time tonight, so.
Now you can try to upstage her.
Well, I can't. I know that. Okay, on the governor's forum last night, if you weren't there, it was very enlightening, and I want to say that our community college did a nice job with it. The community was impressed. We had the dignitaries here. There was 8 candidates. We learned a lot. We heard a lot. You might have thought one way, and when you left, you thought another way. So anytime you can get out and listen to the candidates out there, I think it's important, and we really did a nice job of showcasing our community and the college last night with that. There was a young man, he's on the track team, I don't know who he is. They think he's a high jumper or a pole vaulter. But I got an email from a community member saying what a phenomenal young man we had out here at the community college. They had gone to like some kind of something to where their grandma was presenting and had to bring in the tables and showcase everything. And he brought all of grandma's stuff in and stayed the entire time and helped grandma put it up. And she said, you know, that says a lot about that young man in this college. So when we hear from one community member about one student, that speaks for all of our students out here. So whomever that child is, or whomever that adult, young adult is,
I'm very proud to have him as a community college member. The PTK induction was phenomenal, and I have to say, the unity and the family feel of that organization is amazing. The girls basketball coach was there, and I think he had 3 girls there, and they referred to him like as their dad, and he was proud as punch. And pictures were taken of the kids, and families were there, so it was very, very enjoyable, and it made me feel good from the inside out, which is what our college is supposed to be out in this community. So and I went to the choir concert, absolutely wonderful. I think that I wish Dodge City would come out and enjoy everything we have to offer, because it is top notch. So thank you.
I want to thank you for putting on the workshop last week. It's very informative. One of the things I'd like to see happen is, see all these reports here. Is there any way to get a faculty rep report each month also on the agenda?
Well, the dean makes a report from the faculty.
I mean faculty members. Is that not?
Well, we've been through that.
Well, let's go through it again.
And that's up to the board.
Okay. Well, I'd like to hear a report from faculty members. You know, the good, the bad, and the ugly, I guess.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, is that finished with your report then?
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right. So moving on to other reports, we have a report from Vice President Herman and team on scholarships. You do have the floor, or did I miss Stephanie?
No.
Go ahead.
I'm part of it.
Oh, you're part of it?
I think May's gonna start.
We're tag teaming it.
Okay.
Stephanie Lanning, Dean Lanning, is up here also because she has day-to-day administrative oversight for financial aid. And the person that works most specifically with all of our scholarships would be Deb Schulte, who is our Associate Financial Aid Director. And then Dean Lanning has direct oversight. So she's probably best able to answer a lot of the questions. And so we've asked her to join in with Veda and I so that we can answer this. I hope that you all received the legend for the scholarships, and I think that's helpful. We would like to spell all those out on the reports that we print, but again, that's a limitation of our current information system. And so I'm hopeful when we have a new one, we'll be able to actually have enough field spaces other than the 4 or 5 where we can print out the actual name of each scholarship. So thanks for the request asking for the legend. I think that's helpful for anyone that might not be familiar with it, looking at it every day, such as Deb Schulte and Stephanie Lanning are able to do. So please go ahead, and Stephanie or Veda, you want to go first?
No, let's let Stephanie go do the first part, and then I will follow up with how we fund it.
So I was given a question as to financial scholarships and financial aid here on campus and how we award scholarships and how we award financial aid. So the documents that were presented to you look like this. And these actual reports come out of PowerFades. PowerFades is a software that we have. It's nationally known through the Department of Education. So we have that software where we package our financial aid. So we have to go in and build in there like our scholarships. If you look under the institutional scholarships, those are the scholarships that we award students. We award the Ford County Scholarship, and then we've also divided up into like a technical program scholarship or workforce program. Each of those have scholarships. We have activity scholarships like band and vocal. This report also identifies all the federal funding that we get through the institution. At the very top, the Pell Grants, grants that students can get from our institution, the loans that students get from our institution, and those are from the Department of Ed. Students complete the FAFSA for that awarded financial aid. Also, on the bottom, towards the bottom of that report, we have private scholarships. A lot of students come to us with outside scholarships or private scholarships, and we have a lot of those. So we just identify them in our system as outside scholarships. But, you know, a student can come to us with a couple $1,000s worth of outside scholarships that they bring to us. So that's kind of my part of the presentation. Do you have any questions regarding the scholarships or the information about scholarships? I do want to identify one more thing. Financial aid goes by a fall, spring, and then summer is the trailer. So when we award financial aid, the 2017-18 aid that you see right here, that's not done yet, because students will come in and take summer classes. We have federal aid that students get the year-round Pell now. They can get a loan for the summer as well too. So this report is only to date, what we have dispersed from the fall and to the spring. So in the financial aid, the Department of Education, their year is fall, spring, and then summer's the trailer. With our institution's fiscal year, we start with summer as a header, and then fall and spring. So, you know, I think if you want to explain why the numbers don't exactly match, it's because our institution numbers are summer, fall, spring, but financial aid numbers are fall, spring, summer. Okay. Any questions? Some other information. So students, we do have that scholarship application. We got that out this year in October, so students can start applying for those scholarships now. We've been over at the high school several times with enrollment days. We actually do have one coming up next week. It was in my report to enroll high school students in the college classes for next fall. So our scholarship application has been out there. It's on our website. The FAFSA, students can start applying for that, the free application for federal student aid. That began in October. So in the financial aid department, we are processing scholarship applications. We're processing the federal financial aid, packaging that up, and sending that out to our students right now.
Steph, question.
Do we require, and I hate to ask this question, but do we require anybody that goes on scholarships to fill out a FAFSA?
Yes, we do. Yes.
Okay.
Because that, I mean, some students aren't aware of that. So yes, we try to educate them on that, get that information out there, because that could be some grant money that they get free money for college. There are limitations to students filling out that FAFSA. You know, they have to be a U.S. citizen, they have to be a high school graduate, stuff like that.
Family income.
Family income kind of goes into the EFC, expected family contribution, and that's what the packaging is on for their federal aid, Pell Grants loan.
Is there any restrictions on those students who are dreamers? Can they still get scholarship money?
Scholarships, absolutely. If they, scholarship money, they can apply for that as long as they are a high school graduate and attending Dodge City Community College. Yes, scholarships.
Even if they're not citizens?
Yes, at Dodge City Community College, scholarships. Now,
No
federal
grants.
financial aid,
No federal grants?
yeah, federal financial aid, the Pell Grants and loans from the Department of Ed, the FAFSA, they cannot, they have to be U.S. citizens for that. But institutional scholarships, outside scholarships, yes.
Like your international students can't.
Yes, yes. International students, it's an institutional scholarship.
Thank you, Dean Lanning. Any questions, more questions for Dean Lanning or Vice President Team on?
I have one thing to add. I did get a question from a trustee related to financial aid, not specifically scholarships, but the question was, does the Pell Grant stay the same every year? Or does it go up, or has it decreased? And so we looked that up, and it's been going up just a little bit every year. And in 12-13, for example, it was $5,550. And then in 17-18, it has gone up to 5,920. And then I don't think the feds, the government has set 18-19 yet, but we should be finding out pretty soon.
Yeah.
Stephanie, have you seen anything new?
I haven't seen the.
Yeah,
the
so we don't know
new-
yet what it
Yeah.
is for next year, but my guess would be that it would go up just a little bit, so.
And we
that
also
helps our
have year-round.
students.
You can get it
Year-round.
year-round, so you can go in the summertime also
Yeah,
with it.
so in the past, students could only get financial aid 2 semesters in a year, in a financial aid award year. Now, the federal government has changed it to a 600% lifetime of the student attending college. So they will get 600% of their federal financial aid, and they can use that year round. So if they're attending fall, spring, and summer, then they can use some of their aid portion during the summer. So there is year-round Pell.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so we need to talk about how we fund these institutional. Let's go to that. Let's go to all students, 2017, 2018. That'll be the last few sheets of the report. And we're going to talk about institutional. If you look on the second page of that, it shows that it's $1,532,559. The first thing I want to explain to you is that number is really $900,159. That is, we have to provide because they have to put the books in with them when they're packaged them. They have to put the cost of the books in there. But I implemented in the bookstore where we loan books. So we take used books and we loan those to the students. So when they, at the end of the semester, they bring them back to us. We check them back in, we loan them out the next year and the next year. We do that for 3 years, or when they change the books, then we have to buy new books. But that doesn't cost the college, and we usually pay about $150,000 is what a year is what it costs me to operate the bookstore even. I don't try to make money on the bookstore. It's a service for our students. If we do the loan of books, then it doesn't cost us what we're packaging those books for. So the actual dollars that it's costing us is only $900,159 if you take all the books out. So with that being said, if you'll go back to the sheet where I talk about Divisional Scholarship Fund, and we've talked about incidental fees, that we can take incidental fees and use that money for divisional scholarships. But you have to bring it before the board. The board has to approve it. You have to notify the student senate, and then you can use fee money for scholarships. And this year, I'm just showing you the revenues. $600,000 will come from incidental fees, the athletic contribution. The faculty and staff can determine if they want to buy parking. So and then they get to select whether they want to put it into an athletic or into a divisional scholarship. Miscellaneous income from the foundation, I haven't received that this year. It's been running $30,000-$40,000. Gate receipts, we haven't transferred those monies in yet. And so right now it's sitting at $604,980. And then you'll see the expenditures to the right. And then at the bottom is the Ford County scholarships, which is in the institutional, figured into that amount. So after we get all of our revenues in, we will have enough money to offer the scholarships for this year. But I wanted you to see how the college pays these scholarships.
Are the books actually loaned or are they rented? Do they rent them for the semester, or do we
loan them.
They just no fee.
If they do not bring them back, then they get on their account the charge for a new book is on their account, but we just allow them to use the book. Now, if it's a workbook and they, you know, we charge them for workbooks, but not for the loan of books.
But the book's been used 3 times before they get the book.
It rolls about 3 years.
Beta, I didn't have time to calculate this, but everything that has an FC behind it is a Ford County,
Yes,
and that's funded with public funds, right?
yes.
Okay. How much money do we distribute to the Ford County students total?
Okay, that is at the bottom of your sheet where it says Ford County Scholarships.
389,138.
Yes,
It's
correct.
gone up every year.
Where is that? I'm
It's at the bottom of page.
Bottom of the last page.
Last page.
Well, it's at the bottom of each
It's
year's page.
at each year.
Yeah,
It's
each
at
year's
the,
page.
How many students, how many students receive it? Or something from Ford County, and what's the average?
Oh, I have to go through individually and count that. I don't have that off the top of my head.
And-
They're listed on, the students that receive
Oh,
this.
wait.
what are the requirements? Maybe talk about the requirements for a Ford County scholarship. That might help.
Over the last couple of years, our scholarships, we have kind of equalized them. So rather you're getting a Ford County scholarship, an athletic scholarship, or a workforce scholarship, or an activity scholarship, every scholarship is tuition and books. So every student will get tuition and books. That's them coming in and maintaining a 2.5 GPA. Then the presidential scholarship is an additional $500 if students maintain a 3.5 GPA. And then our athletic, academic, athletes that are on letters of intent, they also get an additional $500 like a presidential scholarship, if they have the 3.5.
The Ford County scholarships, athletes from Ford County can't get public money, right?
No, they cannot. They move over to the divisional.
How many, and as far as out-of-state scholarships, are any of those given for anything but athletics?
Out-of-state scholarships, yeah, we will have students that come here, if you, on the list, like if they are a cosmetology major. You'll see that we have cosmetology majors that are outside of Ford County that come to Dodge City Community College. So anybody outside of Ford County will receive the divisional scholarship.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought the OS may have meant out-of-state, that just means outside of Ford County.
Okay, under the athletics, we have athletic Ford County, athletic in-state, athletic international, and athletic out-of-state. So those are separated. But as far as any of our other scholarships, Ford County scholarships are all Ford County students. But if the student comes here for an art scholarship, if they're not a Ford County student, then they get the divisional art scholarship. But if they're Ford County, they'll get the Ford County art scholarship.
Divisional has come from does come from outside of Ford County.
Yes, those students that come to us from outside Ford County.
Thank you.
I have a little detailed question. Excluding declined and canceled awards. What is that? Excluding declined award. That's right at the top of the page under that. I just was curious.
Sorry, yes. So this report comes out of Power Faiths. And so this is the actual awarded amount. So it excludes, when we package a student's financial aid, we may package someone's financial aid that never ends up attending here. So then we'll go in and decline it or cancel the award. So this is not including, so the report that I would give you in fall, it would probably have some of those awards that we've given to students, but then they don't show up in the spring, so we cancel those.
And if they don't keep up their grade points?
Correct, at the end of every semester. We initially award scholarships to incoming students based on the 7th semester high school transcript. So the transcript they receive at December their senior year. And then once they become a student, then we look at their cumulative GPA every semester.
So every student in Ford County basically gets a scholarship for tuition and books
Yes.
from any of the surrounding
Yes.
schools and so on.
Like Spearville, Buckland, they're all Ford County. If they're out of Ford County but still in our service area, then they're the divisional scholarships.
Okay. And none of these cover any of those terrible fees, though, do they? None of the scholarships.
I believe scholarships, or sorry, incidental fee or fees in general cannot be scholarship. Well, no, that's not true. Never mind, forget what I just said. Our scholarships at our institution cover tuition and books. That's the scholarship. But if they get the presidential scholarship, that does cover fees.
The extra $500.
Yeah, the presidential scholarship, which is an additional $500. The athletic academic is an additional $500, can cover fees.
Are those fees, am I remembering correctly, about $40 credit hour? Is that correct?
Ford County students.
$40
41.
per hour.
$41
now?
41 for credit.
$41 per credit hour. Okay.
Is that
I
all
didn't think
county?
it-
Is it 40?
I thought it was 31 for tuition and 40 for
It's
fees.
thir-
I didn't think it raised. I
It's
didn't-
30 and 40.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I'm sorry, Stephanie, did you say that every Ford County student gets full tuition?
That not everyone's, those that apply for scholarships and that meet the requirements.
The requirement is
2.5.
what?
2.55.
2.5 out of high school.
Right out of high school, 7th semester transcript. Or if we get their final transcript and we still have the financial aid budget available to award scholarships.
Okay.
Priority deadline for scholarships award is April 30th. And then so we try to award as much scholarship money as we can, and then if we have money left over in the budget, then we try to continuously award those scholarships.
But it's real important that they fill out those FAFSAs, because I can promise you that money is available for them. And with people on reduced or, free lunch or reduced lunch, those people will qualify for usually financial aid,
Yes.
federal financial aid.
Is the federal financial aid a loan program, or is
No,
it a scholarship
it's a
program?
Pell. It's
Pell.
It's a grant.
Okay.
The FAFSA,
Okay.
the free application for federal student aid, students will fill that out and they can either qualify for a grant, which is money they do not have to pay back, or they can get a loan, a subsidized or an unsubsidized loan.
But that's something we really need to let people know, that it's very important. Every once in a while, maybe a family doesn't want to fill it out because they don't want people to know their financial status. But I promise you, if we can get more people to understand, it's a great way for students to get monies for school. It's a wonderful opportunity for them to be able to have that.
I also explain to students that if you do happen to need a loan for college, then I would get a loan through the federal government, through FAFSA, because it's usually a cheaper interest loan, and you do not have to go into repayment until after 6 months of completing college or ceasing to attend college. And then a couple months ago, I brought you the ECMC package, and so we work with ECMC about educating our students that have the loans. So there's that extra educational component of working with our students that have the loans so they don't go into default.
Stephanie, another question. Are there any scholarships for Ford County students for part-time students?
No. I say that, but like our ESL, we have set aside a few scholarships for those ESL students that are coming over from the Adult Learning Center, taking a few ESL classes. But a majority of our scholarships, you have to be a full-time student.
It's pretty typical.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up, we'll move up to Dean Osmus with the welding department demonstration.
Yeah, good evening. Dr. Nolte, Chairman, Harshberger Board of Trustees. A little over a month ago, I was copied in on a email discussion in relation to the nationwide shortage of welders. And from that discussion, it was requested that we give an update on the state of our welding program, kind of where we're at, where we would like to be, and if there's anything we can do to enhance that program to meet not only area needs, but even region and national needs. So what I've done this evening is I have invited Justin Weil, who's in the back there, and Mike Otterstein. So they're going to give us a, excuse demonstration. I think I told Carla demonstration. They're not going to be welding in here this evening. It'll be a presentation. So, excuse me for my, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Justin, I don't think it's on.
All right, we were having a little bit of problems, technical difficulties, but earlier, so I hope everything works out okay. I'm Justin Weil, this is Mike Otterstein. I've been an instructor here at the community college for going on 10 years. Mike's been here since 2014? 12, excuse me. He was hired as an adjunct instructor at first and then came in full-time in 14. We were called in relation to the deficit of skilled labor and what are we doing in the welding department to help promote more skilled labor and get an offset of these careers that are possibly open. What are we doing now and what do we foresee happening in the future? All right. The Lewis Technology Center is a relatively new building, 2 years old. We had the manufacturing shop in the back, but we were actually teaching classes in the welding shop itself with plastic tables set up out in the shop. Jim Lewis came through, the Lewis family came through, made a pretty nice donation along with JAG Construction and bought some tax credits and gave us a nice facility, state-of-the-art classrooms, offices. We have Apple TVs in there. We do a lot of teaching from our iPads, videos, any kind of interactive technology that we can use. We utilize it. In the welding shop right now, we have state-of-the-art equipment. Every welder that we have in the shop is less than 6 years old right now. Everything that we're currently using is what they're using in the industry, from a small mom and pop shop to a major manufacturer like Caterpillar. We have machines that are 100 amp machines clear on up to 400 amp machines. We have water cooled machines. Because we run at such high amperage ranges, they have to be a water cooled torch. So the students are getting every aspect of the welding field right here at Dodge City Community College. These are our credentialing. Our credentialing comes from the American Welding Society. The American Welding Society is a global society or a global institution that oversees all the standards and specifications for the welding field, and also they team up with ASME, which is the American Society of Mechanical Engineers. They work very close side by side with one another. We both have our certified welding educators certifications through them. I have a certified welding inspector. Mike has a certified associate welding inspector, and we're both AWS certified welders. American Welding Society Sense program, we are we are accredited by the American Welding Society. The American Welding Society accredits us to teach their curriculum. The curriculum, the theory, the skills that we teach is all mandated from the American Welding Society. Once our students come in and they start as a freshman, and once they graduate as a sophomore, they leave as an AWS Sense entry-level welder, which looks very good on a resume. Plus, it blankets all the welding processes. Most schools only teach 1 or 2 welding processes, and they really emphasize maybe 1. We teach all 4, and we're getting a 5th. So our range of skills that we can teach to these students is very big, which a lot of schools don't have. We believe that if a student comes in and learns 1 skill, they can only do 1 thing. You'll hear a lot of the pipeliners, they get real frustrated when the oil business and the gas business goes down. They lose out on jobs. They go on unemployment, and they're waiting for the next big boom to come around. Our students are going to be trained in all four processes. So if they do happen to get laid off from an oil job or a process piping job, they can leave and they can go to a manufacturing setting and they can go right back to work. So there's a lot of advantages to that. This is where we had a little bit of problem. I'm hoping this is going to work. Oh, don't you do it.
For almost 100 years, AWS has proudly supported welding and its many visionary leaders who drove us forward. Their push for higher standards, continued learning, and new technology made the impossible possible. Today, AWS stands stronger than ever with a singular mission powering our future. Inspiring members with better results and bigger opportunities. Building stronger standards that keep us safer. Motivating new generations to join us. Igniting important conversations about today's issues and tomorrow's possibilities. And most importantly, engaging welding communities from every corner of the globe to collaborate and share knowledge. Across every continent and culture lie extraordinary achievements, all made possible by the art and science of welding. Our ability to conquer new challenges, to provide educational opportunities that help people better themselves and their families. That's what strengthens the future of welding and our world forward.
There we go. All right. In our welding department, we have 3 levels of exit. We have a Certificate A, Certificate B, and Associate's degree. Certificate A is 17 credit hours, a Certificate B is 30 credit hours, and an AAS is 4 semesters, 60 credit hours. We teach it with a Certificate A, they're going to learn all 4 processes plus blueprint reading, but that starts them out at a very, very basic knowledge and basic skill level. The Certificate B puts them into a higher skill set because we put them into positions that you normally wouldn't. Most of the time, to put it in layman's terms, they stand at a booth with a Certificate A and they weld flat and they weld horizontal. So everything's sitting in front of them, they're looking down at it the majority of the time, or they're looking straight at it. With a Certificate B, we make them crawl on the floor, we make them weld overhead with the sparks falling on them, and they get to understand what it's going to be like when they get out into the industry and get to a high skill level job. An associate's degree is beneficial for 2 different reasons. One, when they leave, they're going to be at a welder's skill level. We tell our students, you are not a welder until after you've got at least 1,000 hours underneath the hood. And you can correct things as you're going. You can fix things on the fly. Our associate's degree students can do that. So when they leave, they will get a higher level skill job than either the certificate A or B. Or they can transfer on and go on to a 4-year school for a bachelor's degree in a bachelor's in applied science. Our student population for this year, we have 10 freshmen. Those are true college freshmen, 7 sophomores, 16 high school students, 18 from business and industry, 6 non-traditional, so there's 57 different faces that we see throughout the week. One thing I do want to touch on, that sophomore number, that number 7, looks pretty low. Last year, you guys, I think you believe it's on your notes. Did your notes print out? Let me see. I don't think they did. Last year we had, I believe, 6 freshmen. We had 6 freshmen. I don't have a number. Okay. 7 freshmen entered a career. They left. They got a certificate B, and they left and went to work. One of them enlisted into the Navy. Another one changed their major, and there are 4 that are unknown. And those 4 are just attrition. They find out that they don't want to be a welder, and they disappear. The 7 that did leave, 2 of them are currently in New Mexico making $50 an hour and $100 a day per diem. 2 of them are in Wamego working for Caterpillar right now, making last I knew they were making $16.95 an hour with full benefits. The other 2 are, one of them is at Rotomix, and the other one was at Mighty Handy up until about 2 weeks ago, but I have not heard. He hasn't been back to work. I don't know. He might have found something else. So anyway, that's a problem. It's not a problem. It's a success. They have left here. They've gone and got a job that's a well-paying job, but it does not look good for our sophomore numbers. So don't think that we're running them off. We do run them off, but they go to make more money. Okay, this is reporting data. We just happened to have had a program review about a month ago, so I had these numbers very readily available. In 2007, we had 130 students. Now, these numbers look very large, and the reason that they do is because when they run our load reports for each class, they take the total number of students in each class, and then they just add them all together. So a student that's taking 6 classes from the welding department is being counted 6 times, 6 different times. So these numbers, they're based off of each class, not as a program. The numbers that I showed you before were based strictly off the program itself and how many different faces. So in 2007, 2008, there was 130 students. In 2008, 2009, which is the year that I was hired, that jumped to 150. When Mike came on full-time in 2014, it jumped to 303. And then in 2016, 2017, it's up to 312. At 2015, 2016, we were at 337. So we've had an enormous growth. We've more than doubled in growth with students over the past 10 years. If you look at credit hours that we generate, in 2007, 2008, there was 283 credit hours. In 2009, there was 428. And in 2016, 2017, last year's 978 credit hours generated out of the welding shop. With that being said, in 2014, 15, and 15 and 16, or excuse me, 15, 16, we had 3 welding instructors at that time. Since then, Tim Burns has broken off and went and started his own business. So now this 930 or 973 and 978, those credit hours are being taught by 2 instructors and 1 adjunct. So we are moving forward. We are growing with what the economy is wanting us to do, but right now we're pretty well tapped out, and we're pretty stressed for time. High school dual credit. Right now we are currently involved with multiple high schools trying to get students involved. With our high schools, we currently have Dodge City High School, Fowler, Meade, Mineola, Kinsley. And right now, Mike and I have sat down with the welding instructor in Cimarron, and Cimarron is wanting to jump on board next semester. We've already scheduled classes to help Cimarron. They're guaranteeing us 10 students, possibly more because they have South Gray and Ingalls that possibly want students as well. Most of our high school welding students, they're going to take 15 credit hours a year. They take 8 in the fall and 7 in the spring. So they actually need 5 credit hours to complete a Certificate A. We have had multiple high school students that graduate from Dodge City Community College with either a Certificate A or Certificate B before they ever graduate high school. SB 155 reimbursement for high school welding students. The K-Board composite rate, these numbers all come from the Kansas Board of Regents reporting. Kansas composite rate is $319 per credit hour. So a high school student that attends Dodge City Community College, they reimburse the college in the welding department. This isn't for all departments, it's just for the welding department. Welding department is very expensive to run, so we get a little bit, actually a lot more money than everybody else. We get $319 per credit hour for high school students, and as you can see, $319 per credit hour at 15 credit hours typically equates to about $4,785 a year per student. These are the numbers that I received from the Kansas Board of Regents. In 2014 and 15, the welding department was responsible for 25% of that reimbursement check. The reimbursement check that we get for SB 155 money, 25% of it came from the welding department, which was $80,910. In 2015, it was $106,196, which was 30% of the reimbursement. In 2016 and 17, we had $119,130. Rate of budgetary return is about 100% for our program. I've ran some numbers in an Excel spreadsheet. Now, the numbers that I have, we have an additional $45,000 that comes in based off of our college kids, not high school kids. So between our college kids and our high school kids, we have about a 100% return on the budget in our welding department. This goes into a lot of the questions that were asked. In the next 10 years, is going to be 22% growth, and there will be about 291,000 new jobs in welding. The reason being is because materials are changing, things that are getting built. Okay, everybody has seen the new Ford pickup. It's built out of all aluminum, right? Well, you cannot glue aluminum together. It has to be welded together to be safe on the road. So now the skill level for an aluminum welder is very high. Those guys are going to have to be trained to be able to do that. And aluminum TIG welding and wire welding is something that we focus on out here in the shop. So we're training these kids to prepare for those jobs that are opening, among many, many, many more. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I gotta get back to my sheet here. The other reason for this, with growth, something that everybody has to think about and something that is a big worry is the baby boomers are retiring. And my generation was pushed to get a 4-year degree. Everybody was pushed to go get a 4-year degree, and the technical trades fell behind. People did not enroll. I can tell you on my personal welding courses, the guys that I took welding classes with, there's only 2 of us that are still doing it right now. The others are either salesmen, they went back to school, a couple of them went back to become chiropractors, things like that. But right now there's only 2 of us. Mike's generation is that generation that's getting ready to retire. And that's a lot of skill and a lot of knowledge there that they're losing. So we have to replenish that. Currently, there's 404,800 welding jobs in the U.S. According on 319, I went on to Indeed's Got Jobs, and there's 279 jobs available right now in Kansas for welding. This does not include construction. It does not include piping. Construction and piping do not utilize Indeed Has Jobs. They deal with something that's called the hot sheets. And the hot sheets are a government document that come out that says where the new construction is going to happen. And most of the time, there's a little community of welders or inspectors or people like that as soon as they get the hot sheet, they see it, they get on the email, they get on their phone texting saying, hey, there's going to be a job here right now. I just got an information. There's a big job going on in Manhattan. It's firing up next week. They said, hey, there's a job in Manhattan. Get up here to test. So they don't utilize Indeed has jobs. This is just mainly manufacturing jobs. Money. Certificate A. If a student comes in, goes through a Certificate A, they're going to start around $25,000 a year. They can make up to $37,000 a year, depending upon how much time they put in, and are they willing to travel? Are they willing to leave Dodge City? If you're going to stay in Dodge City, that $25,000 mark is pretty common. If you're willing to go to Wichita, Kansas City, Denver, someplace like that, that $30,000 to $37,000 is attainable. The Certificate B is 24. Again, if they come through, they get a Certificate B, they're going to start out that $24,000, $25,000 range. They can make up to $55,000 a year based on their talent, based on their skill, and what they can and cannot do. An AAS is $25,000 again. If they don't want to leave town, that's what they're going to make. An AAS can make up to $140,000 plus. We started a new deal at our shop that as soon as you make $100,000 in a year, we put your plaque up on the wall and we put your name on it. Right now we have 2. We've got 3 that are getting ready to pop $100,000. So it's pretty good wages, and depending upon whether they want to leave or not. If they don't want to leave Dodge, that $150,000 is not attainable. If we had more oil around, it would be. Career choices. Welder's helper, that's a Certificate A, a person that comes out, they're going to go out and be a welder's helper. We have a student right now that is in Oklahoma. He's working as a welder's helper. He's making $2,000 a week income just off of his hourly wage, and he's getting $100 a day per diem. So what most of our guys will do, and gals, they'll start out as a helper, and that helps them transition to be a pipe welder or a construction welder, because he's actually probably going to test to be a welder by the end of the month, by the end of this month. The foreman came over, likes what he sees, he's doing a great job, and they're going to give him the opportunity to test. As soon as he gets the opportunity to test and he passes, he'll bring his rig up. As soon as he brings his rig up, it's $80 an hour. Manufacturing and production welding, that's your Harsh, your Rotomix, Crustbuster Speed King, Bros Broom, Mighty Handy Manufacturing, oil field and construction repair, process piping. Process piping would be single hand. Single hand welding means you don't bring your own stuff. You use a company's machines. That's single hand welding. Rig welding is where you have your own truck and your contract labor. And pipe fitter. Pipe fitters are in a huge need right now, just for a simple fact that everybody wants the glory to be the welder. They don't want to be the fitter. And the reality is there's about a $10 difference hourly. Pipe fitter makes about $10 an hour less, but doesn't get the glory of being the welder. They're the ones that fit everything up for the welder to come back. Student success. Our students always receive one-on-one skills training. Our students are evaluated weekly. Mike and I work the shop and our classroom as a team. Anytime there may be 2 concurrent classes rolling. He may be teaching one, I may be teaching another, but our students are comfortable enough with us. We are close enough to our students. We're with them almost 5-6 hours a day. So they'll either come to me or they'll come to Mike or they'll come to both of us. And if one person can't necessarily get through to the kid, the other one can. With that being said, we also have a team teacher inside of the classroom. I think I might have the information on here that I believe it's, let me see if I have it on the next page. No, I don't. Most of your high school students are not ready. They're not college ready in mathematics when they come to the college. So we bring a basic skills teacher into the classroom, and she helps with those skills. Mike and I are not math teachers. We have certain ways that we do things that may not be mathematically correct, and when they go to their math class, their math instructor is going to be very, very upset with us because of the way we showed them how to do something. So we actually have a basic skills instructor there that helps teach the math. She helps teach study skills. She has study sessions whenever we have midterms and finals and things like that. She helps them study. She also extends out to other courses such as automotive and diesel. So she helps those other students as well. So that helps us be able to stay in contact with our students and show them that we care about them. And the ability to work with life happens situations. If life happens with one of our students, you know, we have a lot of things. When life happens and they miss class, Mike, more so than me, will end up here on the weekends, allowing them to make up time. I'll stay up late in the evenings and let them stay late in the evenings to make up time, just so that we make sure these kids are successful. Kind of went into the team teaching portion of it. Outside influence with our student success, Mike and I like to bring in a lot of different people from the outside. They may be alumni, they may be individuals that we know are really, really good at what they do. We bring them in and allow them to talk and teach and help motivate our kids. This young man right here, his name's Jacob Schofield. If anybody knows, he is, or nobody probably knows him in here, but he is a YouTube guru. He films his life out on the pipeline. He is a motivational speaker. He's 27 years old. He's been doing this for about, 7 years? He's 7 years. And so he is teaching these kids the way to get into this industry and get into it correctly. Social media is the big boom. Everybody knows him. Right now, I think he has 11,000 followers on his YouTube channel. And I happen to do a lot of digging on LinkedIn and whatnot, and I got a hold of the gentleman, and he came to Dodge City. So this is a little clip from his YouTube channel. Oh, what?
Just finishing up editing the last bit of the Dodge City, when we went down to Dodge City Community College to their welding program. Great welding program. Justin, great teacher, great guy, trying to get these kids as put together as he can before they get sent out. Liza's hanging out with me. She's downstairs watching the Olympics right now, but great school. The clip did get cut off kind of quick. I don't know what happened. This episode we took all the students out. Justin had ground up a branch for us, and so I showed him how I marked out the middle of the hole, which was just a ground piece of rod that I sharpen. I just take like a bead rod, sharpen the end of it, and it marks almost a perfect hole. Also, we take them out, I show them how to tack it up. I show them like kind of how to weld it together. I let student that wants to come out and weld on it and practice on it, they had the opportunity to sit there and practice while I sat there and kind of was trying to help them. Don't know how much help I actually was, but I mean, it was just awesome to get to sit there and kind of say, all right, here, you need to speed up, you need to slow down, you need to whip out a little farther. Try to critique them a little bit. I know that they have not spent a whole lot of time on like a generator, gas powered, or you know, whatever. They had a 200D, a Lincoln 200D.
This kid's 27 years old. You can tell this kid has more energy than a rabbit does. He just goes all the time. Gary, what do you think this guy makes? Last year, $260,000 is what he made last year. He is a go-getter. Craig Schmidt, he is one of our students. He was a graduate. This is a testimonial from him. I'm not going to read that. He was here. He's, again, a kid that did not graduate. He got a job offer, went down to Houston, Texas, started working for a company called the United Plant Services, making $45 an hour starting and $100 a day per diem. He left. He needs 6 credit hours for an associate's degree, but at this point in time does not need it. He has also started rig welding. He left the United Plant Service since then, and he went and got himself a truck, and now he's making $80 an hour. John Neary, phenomenal student. He was Phi Theta Kappa. He came through, got his associate's degree. He knew that he did not want to be a welder, but he knew that he wanted to be in the welding or manufacturing industry. He actually transferred down to Pitt State. Once he graduated, he's carrying a 3.55 GPA down there right now. He is actually doing an internship right now for a Fortune 500 company, which is Emerson. He's making $3,300 a month, and his living expenses paid for. And what he's doing is he is a sand casting specialist. He's building their sand castings for their molds that they build, and so now he's going into technical engineering, and that's the road he's going into. What we offer that is on the cutting edge, our training, we can speed up our training. We actually purchased a virtual welder, so now we can take a student that has never struck an arc a day in his life. We can put him on the virtual welder or her, and within about a week, we can correct a lot of different problems. One of the major things, can I borrow your pen? Sure. Electrode angle is everything. If my angle is wrong while I'm welding, it does not matter whether I'm using a stick, a TIG torch, a wire, a squirt gun, does not matter. If this angle is incorrect and you're going too fast, the weld that you produce is always going to be unacceptable. This machine will actually measure the travel angle that you're using. It measures the travel speed and the contact to tip work distance, and we can fix those problems, and we create that muscle memory so we can train them faster. We're saving on product, we're saving on gases, we're saving on metal, we're saving on electrodes. Plus, they don't have to worry about smoke inhalation and everything else. So this is something that we can put them on and evaluate them at the beginning of the semester and then again at the end of the semester to see how much growth they've made. Robotic welding. Robotic welding is new last year. One of the big demands is going to be automation. People that can run a robot. Programming right now is set aside for a computer operator. A computer operator writes the program, sends it out to the floor, the welder takes it, puts the program in, and then he welds it. What we are doing is we are creating one job out of the two. We're making it so where the students can weld and they can program. They can do both of them. As of right now in Kansas City, we actually are working on a robotics certificate. And if our students leave with the basic knowledge of programming and operation, they'll move in an engineer's position because they can operate and they can weld both. So that's one of the gaps that we're trying to fill. CNC plasma cutting and programming. This is a double-edged sword for us right now. We have a CNC plasma table. It's a 4-foot by 4-foot table. All the signs, the metal signs that you see around that have been cut out of metal, 95% of them were cut on this table. This is a hobby table. This is something for a hobbyist or a very, very small shop to utilize. This is not an industrial table. The program that it uses is called Design Edge. It's a hobby program. It does not look anything like AutoCAD or SolidWorks. We really need to have a CAD program here so that our students can learn the AutoCAD end of it. Most of your jobs, if you're operators, is going to be people that can operate and they can run a cutting table out on the parts floor. Huge demand jobs. Crustbuster Speed King right now just came and approached me about, do you have a drafts person that can start programming this? And unfortunately, we do not have that. Industry-specific training is things that we do. We bring in a lot of different companies. We were speaking with Bros. Bros is actually wanting us to put on some safety seminars for their employees, so that's something that we're doing as well. We're also putting on a summer institute for the Southwest Kansas Ag instructors. We're teaming up with Lincoln Electric, and Lincoln Electric and us are partnering together to do a professional development for the ag instructors around Southwest Kansas. These are our advisory board members that are currently, they tell us what they want taught, and that's what we do. We are we are benefited to have some of the best manufacturers in Southwest Kansas on this advisory board. We've had multiple meetings with Rotomix, Crustbuster, Cross Manufacturing. They call me all the time needing guys. They happen to have one of our best kids up there right now. He's their lead welder, Sam McMillan. He's up there doing great things. Building Solutions is coming on board. They're seeing that in the construction industry, they're needing a higher skilled welder there for them. Bros Broom, Steve Deegis is a really good asset for us. Kevin Milford with Airgas. All of them are important, but Kevin Milford is probably our best advocate on that advisory board. We have an FFA contest every year, and he comes up with about $2,000 worth of prizes for those students, and really pushes to help our program. He goes to different companies and pushes our students that they're going to really like our kids. So a lot of our kids have gotten jobs because of him. Recruiting. We always do the fair every year. Facebook and YouTube have seemed to be going pretty good. Since we had Jacob Schofield out here, we've actually had people come from Oklahoma. We've had one from Oklahoma, 2 from Texas, and a couple of them from Arizona have called, and they're enrolling or they said they're going to enroll for next semester. We had 2 of them actually drive up here and take a tour through because of Schofield's video of Dodge City Community College. So the power of social media is unbelievable. What do we see in the future? If we're going to run, and we're going to run full steam ahead to get to where we need to be or where we'd like to be, we have to have a 3rd instructor. We have to have a 3rd full-time instructor. So if we're going to take on Cimarron and get those high school kids, we're going to have a 3rd instructor. There's no way around it. Mike and I have went through the schedule. Ryan and I and Mike have all sat around and shifted and moved, and it's just not feasible. Not enough time in a day. An accredited testing certifying facility. Something that is a misused word a lot in the welding industry. There is qualified and there is certified. Right now, our students leave as qualified welders. They get a piece of paper that has my stamp on it, signed off on from the American Welding Society, that says, I'm qualified to do this job. Certification means the documentation has been taken, put through the American Welding Society, put into a database, and they are now a certified welder, and they have to keep up record with their certifications. That qualification is only good for 6 months. If they continue to weld, it's continued to exist. As a certified welder, they have that until, as long as they keep their logbook up, they have it for life. No one else, the closest accredited testing facility is Kansas City, and it's closer to Missouri. The next one is in Denver. No one else in Southwest Kansas has this. No one else in any part of Kansas except for Kansas City has it. Pipe fitting NCCR program. Mike spent, I'll let you speak on behalf of your experience with the pipe fitting.
Just worked as a welder for the gas company and for farmland at Coke now. Worked as a welder for them for close to 25 years. Learned on the go, but did a lot of the pipe fitting by myself because that's the way it worked. Learned the hard way. The pipe fitting is a very needed field out there. If you're not good enough to be a welder, but you understand the process and what's going on, what's needed to get everything ready to go and welded, you make a heck of a fitter, okay? Welders keep fitters. If they like them, they do a good job, they keep them. They go with them wherever they go. If you're not, you don't stay out there very long. They'll have you running a shovel or something. So I've just had experience in that way. Hopefully it's been enough. A lot of things have changed over the years. When that young man came in, that's Schofield, I wanted to make sure that what I remember from 30 years ago when I was 20 years old, out there testing that it was all still the same, or pretty close, and it is. So what we're teaching them up there is how to actually go out and physically take pipeline tests, API 1104 pipeline tests. We teach them how to pass the process well piping test. Process well piping is what they have in plants. A lot of stainless steel, a lot of different exotic metals, different alloys. Takes a little different skill level for that. They also TIG most of it too. Pipeline is all stick. But long and short of it is, we're giving them the tools to go out there in this part of the United States and make money. We emphasize to the kids, you're young right now. You're not married yet. You don't have any children. Now's the time to go. And we try and push them out of Dodge because it's not real good for them right here. I mean, they cannot. They've got the whole, what do I want to say, wage.
There's a wage
Dodge
deficit.
Is very low. And they know it. The manufacturers know it. So they're trying to grab kids right out of high school and paying $10 an hour. It makes it very hard for us to put them through 2 years of school. They're spending that money, and the best they can do is go out and make $10 an hour. So we definitely, we emphasize, and they are starting to get better. We've had a couple that have said, okay, we're going to raise our wages a little bit, but nothing like there is out there in the world. So.
And we do have quite a few of them that stay just because they have mom and dad and brother and sister here, and they end up staying. And then a job shop, we have all the time somebody coming in. The greatest term that we hear all the time is, I got a great project for you guys. Hear it all the time. We'd like to have a job shop to where we can move those things out and we can start teaching these kids how to bid these jobs, how to bid them, how much time is going to be involved, what does this cost, so that they have an understanding. We have quite a few of them. Remington Ralston is the one that comes to mind. He actually moved down to Ashland, Kansas, and he started his own shop. And he struggled for a while. He came up and had to ask a lot of questions. But right now he's doing relatively well, I understand. That's what we got, ladies and gentlemen. Any questions from you guys for us?
How many are on scholarship?
I cannot answer that. I know that there is. I'm not even going to venture to say. I don't know. Yes, ma'am.
What does it take for the CAD program?
The CAD program is we need an instructor and we need to buy licensing. Now I know that there is an educational discount that if you are an educational institution, AutoCAD gives so many seats for that program. I don't know enough about it. I know I have a free one on this one because you can go on as an instructor or you can go on as a student and then you can download a free copy of it. I don't know if 50 seats or 20 seats you're allowed to do that. I don't know. I'm only allowed 2 with mine. So that's something that an AutoCAD instructor would know, but I don't.
At the high school, they are teaching some CAD classes.
Yes.
So that I don't know whether that information would transfer to your program or not. But my question is, what does it take to be an accredited testing certified facility?
Well, I've been working on that for about 4 years. It takes we have to write a procedure manual. That's what I've been working on. I've actually got about 2/3 of it completed. You have to have a coordinator. You have to have a coordinator. You have to have certain material handling procedures put into place. You have to call the AWS. The AWS comes out here. They go through. They do an audit to make sure that your shop is sufficient. They make sure that you're teaching the correct curriculum. And then once that happens, you can become an accredited testing facility. And with an accredited testing facility, we can also test other welders from throughout anywhere. If we have a guy that's working for Building Solutions and they need a welder that's certified to weld on structural steel, they can come to us, test with us, and then leave for a fee.
And what does it cost for the plasma cutting thing you used that's not a hobby?
Upgrade?
Yeah.
They're actually writing a quote for us right now, which is a laser table. I do not have a quote on that yet. I've been waiting for it for about a week, and I don't know. I can't answer that. It's gonna be over $100,000.
What is the one cost that you have?
30. Yes, ma'am.
When the businesses around contract with you, do we have a specific contract they fill out and then pay the school for your time to go out and enhance their learning?
No.
It's pretty much given to them.
Yeah, it's a freebie.
Yeah.
It's free gratis for them.
Hopefully it makes the college look better. I mean, because we do a lot of stuff that is extra. We've got benches, we do Christmas decorations for downtown. I mean, a lot of different things they come to us with, So, and it's done mostly on our own time.
If, like with our B&I students, those students do pay. They're actually getting college credit, and those students do actually pay fees and tuition and things like that. But as far as us, whenever we go out and we talk and we help out those companies or possibly pop in for a couple of hours to try to help work out a problem, that is just freebie.
Well, I've been in your shop a number of times, as you know, and you two are excellent instructors. You work well with those kids. And the young man that is down in Ashland, I hired him last summer for a small job, and he does very good work, excellent work.
Thank you.
What's the country doing, if anything, on attracting people to welding, if we're going to have this 200,000 gap?
This is the whole I know that the state of Kansas, I can't speak on behalf of the country. I know that the state of Kansas, that's the one reason why they are pushing the SB 155. High school students can come here and go for pennies on the dollar to take those high school classes. It makes it very easy for us when we get those high school kids in and they find out about us and they're around us for 8 hours a day for 2 semesters. We're kind of likable guys, so they go. It makes it very easy for them to come back and complete. That's one big benefit that the state of Kansas is doing. As far as the country, they are pushing us. We go to National Educational Conference every year through the American Welding Society, and that's the big question. How do we get more kids to weld? How do we get more kids in this industry? And it's just the big question.
We're trying.
Actually, the infrastructure of the United States has declined so much over the last 20 years. And finally we have, whether you like them or not, a president in there that is starting to open up some of those avenues again. Bridges, pipelines, what I want to say, buildings,
bridges,
they've come up to code. They're not code anymore. They've been out there too long. All these jobs are going to start opening up, and a lot of it hinges on the government. So.
Do you have anybody, I mean, you guys are instructing, is there anybody, are we doing anything with Facebook to reach out to other schools and places in the state to recruit students?
We go to quite a few of the recruiting events, like in Meade and Ashland and things like that. We have tech recruiters, we have student services that go out and they recruit for us. There's been about a year and a half there that we used to have a standalone tech recruiter that went out and just recruited specifically for tech programs. And there was about a year and a half there that we didn't have that. And student services was taking the brunt of it. They were having to recruit for every program: athletics, ag, welding, linemen, arts. That's a lot of information for one person to try to recruit for. So specialized recruiting is something that is a big need. We actually do have a new tech recruiter now, Justin Finley. So we're hoping that he will go out and drum up some business.
And then we'll need another instructor.
We need another instructor now. We'll need a fourth here before too long, I hope. Actually, the reality is we are in the top 3 welding schools in the state. And the reason that I say top 3 is because we can't compete with Wichita Area Tech's enrollment. They have way too many people to draw from. The population is so much bigger. Our facility is actually nicer than Wichita Area Tech's. I've been in there. Beloit, Kansas, which is North Central Area Tech. Kyle Copps is the instructor there. He is a phenomenal instructor. He's been there for about 20 years, and he has history. And then us. As far as I'm concerned, our students, well, I can prove that our students are better than Wichita Area Techs, because when we go to Skills USA, they can't compete. It's usually us and Beloit, so that's always nice. We are actually competing with Tulsa Welding School and Missouri Tech. And these students need to understand that Tulsa Welding School and for-profit schools want your money. They're going to teach you how to burn rod, and that's it, and they're going to kick you out the door. That it costs them about $22,000 to $30,000 to go down for 18 months to Tulsa Welding School. We're in direct competition with them, and I believe that if we move forward with this and we promote this program, we will be better than Tulsa Welding School. I've been recruited, so is Mike, been recruited to go teach for Tulsa Welding School, and refused to. I'm not taking a kid's money and not giving them something they need to be successful. So.
So have you guys had any luck? Sorry.
No, please.
Reaching out, you're talking about some of the industry partners coming in and asking you for, they're wanting recruits, they're wanting the people back out of your program for some of the skills that you're not quite able to provide for them all the way. Have we had any luck reaching out to some of them, or tried to reach out to some of them to have them help fund some of these things that we need, like the CAD program and some of that stuff?
I'm going to be honest, I don't feel comfortable asking for money. That's
okay. That's a question that we need to pass on.
It has not happened, Ryan, we need 50 grand. That's something that could happen, and we have enough good businesses around that is a possibility.
Yeah, if I may. So that's an excellent question. And over the last couple of months, I've been engaged in some conversations with some of the local businesses. So at this point, we haven't approached anyone to partner in that manner on some kind of a capital project, but we are trying to build towards that. So I'm going out, building relationships, building with trust. These guys keep turning out, qualified welders that are meeting area needs. That's at that, then we can begin to kind of start to say, hey, these are our needs. You want to come alongside us and help us partner so we can expand in some of these areas that they're speaking about. So we are working towards that. As these guys have showed, as it relates to their advisory board, some of the business and industry folks that they're working with, they do a nice job on those partnerships. And so I'm out as well trying to build those relationships and continue to move our program forward in a positive manner. I would like to say Joanne Knight is here this evening. I really appreciate Joanne. Her and I have been in contact a couple of different times over the last few months. We went out here just recently to Rotomix and met with their people. She set that meeting up, so very gracious of her to do that. So just trying to be in contact with Joanne, local businesses, the continued work that these guys are doing, and then maybe at some point here in the near future we can tackle some of those kind of things.
Okay, thank you.
Justin, Mike, thank you very much.
So much for the 20 minutes, Justin.
You were gonna try. No, but that was a good presentation.
That's a good presentation.
Yep. Let's take about a 10-minute break right now. We'll regain session at 1:45.
Don't miss Kansas author Thomas Fox Averill coming to the Dodge City Community College Theater on April 12th. Tom is the author of several novels and short story collections set in Kansas. He will introduce his novel Found Documents from the Life of Nell Johnson Dewar, a unique work of fiction that explores the early settlement of Kansas. Thomas Averill will speak to the public free of charge starting at 7 p.m. on Thursday, April 12th at the Dodge City Community College Theater.
When I grow up, I want to save lives, like a superhero, and show up when people needed me.
When I grow up, I want to be a police officer, and I want to protect people too.
No matter what it is you want to achieve in the future, your journey starts here.
When I grow up, I don't know what I want to do when I grow up, but I know I want to go to college.
Dodge City Community College. Adventure awaits.
All right, we are back in session. Next on the agenda is Dr. Cersei, so with the HLC update. So, You have the floor, sir.
Well, good evening. Appreciate you having me out for this. Try to give you a quick update, sort of a background of where we are. February 15th, we sent in 2 reports. Well, 3. One was an embedded visit report all about the Danny Gillum investigation, where we had to say what changes we made in response to that, and in procedures across the board. And another one was the quality highlights report, which is a traditional, at the end of 8 years, you put in a report. And that was basically a chance to, we sent in a persistent portfolio a year ago. We got feedback on that. It's a chance to go through that feedback and say, okay, here's changes we've made, changes we're going to make, or this is where we kind of were misunderstood. So here's a new approach to what we're actually doing. So you'll read it and understand better who we are, what we do. And then the last one is the federal requirements documentation, which turned out to be, with all the attachments, about 1,400 pages. So where we are at the moment is kind of interesting, because usually by this point I would have had a call from the chair saying, here's our agenda for the visit, because we're only about 3 weeks out now. But I expect it'll be coming late in the week. The chair seemed actually very happy and very comfortable, preliminarily at least, when he read through our quality highlights report and all the attached documentation. And he said it was really nice to read that, because he was on our assistance portfolio team last year, which was an in-writing team that didn't visit. And so now he got rolled over to be the chair of our visiting team, and he said that we've done a very good job of answering a lot of the concerns that were in that document. So he was feeling good about the visit, at least on that basis a month ago. So we'll see what happens when they get here. We're looking at prepping next week. Next week we're going to have a sort of a mock visit. We're going to have somebody come on campus and ask questions that are the type of questions you get during an accreditation visit. And that's Carol Larkin-Skinner will be on campus on April the 4th. We've scheduled with meetings with various groups. We've invited board members to sit in on those. And we've got you all separated, partly that way we don't have to have a Kansas Open meeting on any of that, partly because we just want to do that sort of. It's really to prep the people like Dr. John or Dr. Jane or whoever sitting in the room for that particular meeting, to sort of give them the idea of some of the questions, a chance to huddle later and consider what the best way to answer some of those questions are. Just basically like a dress rehearsal, if you will, for the major event. So we're going to invite you to be there. There's a schedule was sent out, and we're going to invite you. I think, are there names on there? Or yeah, no, yeah. Basically by your assignments on the board of which part you're responsible for, and we'll do that. Then come April 16th and 17th, we will have the visit. I suspect they will want to interact with the board. In my experience, they will invite the whole board, and if we think enough of the board is going to show up for quorum, we'll have to advertise that like as a work session with the HLC. If not enough are going to show up, that's okay with the HLC. They usually want to at least make sure they can talk to some board members. They don't necessarily need to talk to all of you. They understand you have jobs and they're here on a Monday and a Tuesday, or many of you would have jobs or other responsibilities. But they would want to have some board members to talk to. Sometimes they'll put that as a breakfast, or sometimes as a working lunch. But I don't know yet, because our team chair hasn't really put forward his proposal yet of what he would like. So I'm hoping to get that, like I say, by the end of the week.
Is there somebody you want to introduce that's been helping you with it?
This is Clark Hogan.
Hi.
And he came out tonight in support, really. He was a great hand. It was a great hand to have him. I could write stuff, get it ready, send it off to Clark. Clark was really good about turning around with lots of comments, ideas, suggestions, hints. Gee, this has worked before.
A lot of red marks.
A lot of red marks, a lot of history too, which was good to have, because I'd been here like 3-4 months when I was really in the midst of writing this. You can only get so much out of the paper, and you can only get so much by talking to people, but somebody who's been down the road before can give you a lot of good hints. So yes, very nice it came out. That we were talking about it, and I think we're as good as we could expect to be under the circumstances. We've got a lot of good things in the report. Who knows what we'll get for a visit, though? You never know. Teams can be interesting, and sometimes they will scare you to death in the visit, And then when they'll shake your hand on the way out the door and say, that was really good. And other times they'll act like it's all good. And then when it's over, they'll have 3 or 4 things they want you to work on. But that's not really a big deal because, to me, it's not a bad deal because they're saying, look, you're okay, but you really need to improve in these areas, and here's a prescription that you should follow. And that's a good thing to get. So we like those.
I'm sorry, I only know one of the visitors.
Yeah.
Last institution, I knew 2 of them. I knew the chair, so which is good.
Well, I found pictures of almost
You
all
did.
of them today, except for one lady, and I can tell you her street address, her party registration. I can tell you about everything else, no picture. So, I mean, I even know her birth date. I could probably send her a birthday card next year, but anyway.
Are any of them from local, we would say local
The
churches?
closest is
New
from up
Mexico.
in, well, there's one from New Mexico, there's one from Nebraska, and the rest are Illinois and some other places. Ohio, yeah.
I know the Ohio one.
And some of them are from fairly big schools, which is not necessarily great, because they sometimes have a hard time adapting down to a place of our size even. But there's a couple of small places that are in the list, so that's good. That's usually enough to provide perspective. They go, well, where's this position? Well, you see, at our school, they'll say, this person and this person and this person, that's all one hat, right? They have to explain that there's not, 15 different jobs out there.
We'll know a lot more later, won't we?
Oh, we'll know, and I think we're in good shape. I mean, we've got a lot of good fundamentals going, I will tell you that. We have good graduation, we have good success rate, we've got a lot of, our finances are back over a 1.0 in our financial ratio, which is a good thing. Thank you. And so we'll go from there, but, I think you always get a lot out of a visit, and sometimes you walk away going, yeah, we really need to work on that, and sometimes you walk away going, we'll do our best to work on that, but it's going to be difficult, and you always face these challenges. So. Anything else?
Thank you.
No, you're welcome.
Appreciate your help.
Doing it for the students. They got to have accreditation, that's why.
Thank you, Scott. All right, we'll move on to board action items. Item A will actually be a correction from actually our minutes to where on our special committee appointments, I made 2 changes to get it corrected where we intentionally meant to have them. And you have those presented to you in your board book. Entertain a motion to approve these special committee appointments.
I would still move.
Second.
Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. And then next up, we'll have board policy 436. So this will be the second reading, so Ms. Tamar.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're going to continue trucking down the road on our policy revisions. These are 2 policies, as you recall, we read last month, and we had a suggestion that on the verbiage on number 5 on page 2 on the bottom, it was a little bit confusing between the 2, and I think we had a suggestion from the trustees that we try to reword that. So we utilized the wordsmithing abilities of Dr. Jane Holwarda, and she was able to rewrite both of those sections, and I think it's a little more clearer now. I hope it makes more sense to everyone. I think we knew what we wanted to say, but we were not as clear on the verbiage as we could have been, so I want to thank Dr. Holwarda, and we'd like to ask for your final approval for both of these policies, 436, 847. They're the same policies, but one would apply in our student section and the other would apply on our employee section. Do you have any questions?
I like the wording. Thank you.
Yes, likewise.
I move approval.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Maloney had that first. Okay, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you. We'll move on to both policy 708.
Okay, thank you. On this one, again, it is a new policy on facility alcohol consumption exemption. Would apply primarily for the foundation and the student activity centers. And the only change that we have from the first reading was number 2. It originally said all events must be approved in advance by the president. And based on your suggestions at the last meeting, we revised that to must be approved in advance by the Board of Trustees. So we ask for your final approval on this policy as well.
Have a motion?
Yes, an enthusiastic one.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Dan, was that an aye?
No.
No?
I just wanted to say that personally I'm opposed to serving alcohol on campus. I know some of you see a reason for it, but I think it's I think the reason doesn't justify what we're doing, but I'm opposed to it personally.
Okay, Kathy had the second.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Nay.
Okay. All right, I did have a question. Last month, we did pull policy 505 for pending further review, so I thought we'd see something on that this month, so do you have an update
Okay,
on that?
I believe Dr. Valwarda and Glenn Curbs are working on the, is it 505 or what was the number?
It's 505.
505. And that pertained, if I understand correctly, to some verbiage in the negotiated agreement. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so they are still working on that, and we'll be going through that process with the negotiated agreement on the verbiage, and then I would expect that we would bring that back to you at some point in the future.
Okay, all right. So I just wanted to follow up on that and see where we are. Okay, so next up will be certification of Fidelity State Bank and Trust, Vice President.
Yes, we need to do this because our payroll clerk retired, and we're adding the new payroll clerk's name to it so that they can do inquiries about payments and things like that.
Move approval, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, then we'll move on to the Zanzibar EX upgrade. There's a handout that you had along with what's in the book. So, Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, distinguished members of the board. In your board packet for this month, you will find the proposed project to update our current student information system, commonly referred to as the AS400 or Zanzibar TE. This is a project designed to implement the latest software version and to migrate the existing data to the new platform and system. This project will also give us the opportunity to examine existing processes to find some areas of improvement, also provide some staff training as well as much needed documentation. We're asking the board for approval tonight to move forward with the statement of work and pull contract hours with Zanzibar. The need to update to this modern platform and student information system is at a critical level. The current system no longer supports the college's mission to provide a student-centered learning environment, and along with a number of proprietary customizations has made system maintenance difficult and expensive. Our version is no longer supported by the software vendor, and they have reported that we are the last college on this TE version. In fact, the vendor no longer has an AS400 to do any testing of other software against our current version. So for example, our financial aid department uses a system called PowerFates that is not integrated with our current version. Well, any updates to PowerFates is not tested against our current version. In addition, you'll also find in your board packet a letter from IBM stating that they are discontinuing support for our platform by the end of September 2019. New version will fix all these issues, as well as provides flexibility, scalability, and better access to information.
So, hey, Mike,
Yeah.
question. So when Dean Lanning was talking about the PowerFaith software, you said that will be integratable with
Yes.
this new version?
One of the biggest advantages to going to this new version is PowerFades talks to EX very well. The project timeline will take approximately 18 to 24 months. Genzabar will be on site to start with an executive orientation, and they'll review the contract and implementation process with our executive team, followed by a meeting with our module managers and core project team to discuss the overall schedule and process. Genzabar will introduce their modules and provide training by dividing on-site training into 4 training trips. Some of the departments, such as admissions and financial aid, will be combined into a single training trip for the sake of maximizing our time and resources. The training trips will last about 2 to 3 weeks and will consist of an orientation and demo of the module, followed by configuration worksheets that are filled out by our module managers, module manager training, as well as all department users training on daily and non-daily, such as month-end or yearly processes. Around the second training trip, Genzabar will bring a data expert on site to discuss and start the data mapping conversion. This trip will result in a mapping document that will be used to program the data migration. After the data migration, Genzabar will be back on site for 2 to 3 days to ensure the data and other elements have migrated over correctly. Once the modules are configured and the data has been migrated over, we will begin the go-live process, at which time the end users will begin using the system, the new version exclusively, and the AS400 will then become an archive system. Around 90 days past go-live, Genzabar will review everything with the project team to make sure a successful conversion. I have developed a website so that staff can follow along this project as we progress through these various milestones, and I can share that link out with you as well if you'd like to. The completion of this project will improve the processes of literally every department on campus. The enhanced capabilities in the new version will have a very positive impact on college operations. This is a critical and major project for the college, so I appreciate your time and consideration. Thank you. Any questions?
This is nearly a $500,000 project. Could we or should we put this out for bids? Or is that inappropriate in this situation?
Given the fact that our data is within their older system, they're really the only experts to convert this data over properly. So we really run a risk if we try and go outside of their system and migrate this data over.
But yet I read that they aren't really guaranteeing that transfer. Is that accurate?
Not entirely, no. What they're not guaranteeing is the accuracy of our data because we put the data in there ourselves. Right. So they cannot guarantee that if we transposed a few numbers in a social security number or date of birth, that is going to be accuracy. And that's that part of the contract.
And hence the nature of the 1004 disclaimer.
Exactly.
Now, this $364,400, that's for training, really? And
implementing the software training.
Yes. So how much is, and 400 and some, how much is hardware? Is there no need for new hardware?
No, there isn't.
Just software?
Actually, our infrastructure has already been set up. We don't need any new hardware. We've already got a virtualized environment for this to sit in, so we're good to go that way. Exactly.
And support.
Yep.
Okay.
Longer term, looking into the future again, because obviously we're 30 years behind on this, so that hopefully in
35.
Okay, 35. So in 2040, whenever, so we don't have the same discussion then. Tell me, is there other options, or is there continual upgrade options, or is there different ways of obtaining these services? I guess what I'm getting at is, so all I know is the medical world, we get this with EMRs all the time. You get a new medical record system, you pay them a whole ton of money, and you try to migrate everything over, and you hope it all works. And then 5 years later, that one, they quit supporting it, force you out of it, and you go buy a new one. And now a lot of them have now implemented more a subscription service fee, more or less.
Mhm.
So you pay monthly. Are there things like that, Mike, going forward, so that we're always on the up-to-date technology? I guess that's why I'm asking the question, is so that we're not going back and saying, and they're laughing about, oh yeah, back in 2018, those guys doing that.
Sure, and that's an excellent question. I'm really glad you brought that up, because we do need to plan for that future. And the software world, regardless of what the system is for, colleges or medical institutions, it's the same principle. It really is. And so we need to be looking 5 years in the future of this product as well. What's that going to look like? Do we need to kind of save for that? Genzabar does have a new licensing system. They call it Genzabar 1, that will cost considerably less when we are ready to move to that. And by less, I mean easily a quarter to maybe a sixth of what this will cost. But we do need to plan for that, absolutely. And that's a conversation that Veda and I will have to have shortly after.
I might add, Mike, that I had intended to bring the financing to this meeting, but it got a little complex when I tried to get the financing because it wasn't equipment. Now, and I will be doing a lease equipment. So we had to look at it because it has to be, it can't be an expense, it has to be a capital project. And I worked with my auditors, Gilmore and Bell and John Haas, our finance company, to make sure that we could finance and the wording and the verbiage on this. So it will be coming to you next month. I can assure you that we now have it in a position where they, Gilmore and Bell says we can finance the money. And that'll be coming to you next month.
And Veda, this would be an absolutely wonderful thing for the finance committee that we're, that you've set up as the trustees. This would be an absolutely wonderful thing to kind of go through that and let them see.
Absolutely, absolutely. We'll do that before, when I have it to the point. And maybe we can meet when John Haas is out here. I think it'll be Kevin. I think most of you know Kevin Cowan from Gilmore and Bell. I think he will be out to present it in April. So maybe we can schedule you out early in the afternoon to kind of go through it so you understand it.
And also in that, a big part of this is the training, is you look at on pace, the total costs there, and I think that's something that you guys can look into too and oversee and see what you think we really need and whatnot as maybe some cost-saving measures. So I think that would be excellent for them to look into too.
We have an amount that we're financing, and I will say to you, is going to have some padding in it, just in case of emergency, that we need to hire an outside consultant or something. And if we don't use the money, then we'll just turn it around and reduce the debt.
This is an action item?
This is an action item.
I need approval.
Motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Discussion?
I have one question for Mike. Anytime there's a change like this, and it's a major change, and it'll be throughout the instruction and everywhere, do you have support through your counseling department and your IT to help everyone? Because it will be huge.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And we do. Part of the project, a big part of the project too, is going to be identifying those module managers, those team leads, and those will really be each department will have their own module manager, and those are really going to be the advocates for their departments, and we'll work in conjunction with IT to get future changes and configurations into the new system.
Because I think there's going to be a lot of people that need to know it's going to be okay.
Oh, yes.
It's going to be okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, Genzabar has done this for a number of years with a number of institutions, and they know how to handle this as well, too, so.
Well, I wanted to ask council to make a comment because of his critique that we have already received about the contract.
Well, you have the letter in your packet, and actually, the agreement met with my approval from a legal standpoint. I just wanted to highlight, and Mike's talked about some of this already through some of the questions that have been asked, just highlight some items that I thought were of significance. And we've had some conversation. I'm comfortable with it. I just thought that it was something that reached out to me when I looked through the agreement.
It did to me too. And I don't know how we could avoid that.
Yeah, I mean, it's important we understand what the contract provides.
I think the most crucial step on that note, I think it's a great point, Glenn, is that, and it's what you're alluding to, Mike, is that your module managers, it's that 90-day interface time where that's one of the utmost important things, is that time's utilized to go back, and if that data is not converted correctly, that's your window of opportunity, and sometimes by then things are already rolling and it's not taken as seriously as it needs to be. That has to be the main focus during that period of time to
Absolutely
utilize that. I agree with you wholeheartedly that changing within a system, that the likelihood they're going to be able to convert their own data is 100 times better than somebody else coming in and doing it. So I don't disagree with utilizing that company.
In the existing, not to get too techy, but the existing schema, database schema for TE, they use as a foundation for EX. So I'm not guaranteeing it's a one-to-one, but it's pretty darn close.
But Dan, in answer to your question, a lot of schools will stay with, for example, like Banner, they'll stay with the same system all the way through. And it's funny, it's almost like your banks, they're merging together now. There's some system, there was a whole bunch of them out there that used to be 6 or 7, and now they're it's about 3 or 4 now, I think, is what most colleges and universities have now. So, but I think you just stay with that one because it helps you integrate into the system.
I don't think financially we could afford to switch at this point, because if you're looking at Banner, you're looking at $1.5 to $2 million.
That's exactly right. There's a lot of different systems out there, but honestly, you're going to end up paying $500,000 to $1 million to implement it. You're not going to save anything doing that.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. Moving on. In favor of staying in continuity with what's presented in your board book, I'm going to go to the first reading of policy 404. So we'll do the first reading. So Ms. Dion. Policy 404.
Okay. We're presenting this for first reading, and it is just a minor change. As we were going through and reviewing some things for international students, we decided to make the verbiage change to where it's whatever is currently in the college catalog. This Homeland Security now has a lot of application requirements that they can change even yearly, and so we update that in our college catalog. So rather than having to update the verbiage in the board policy, we decided to refer to the college catalog so the international students would know the procedures to follow. And then also, much to our surprise, the verbiage said, and Clark Coker will appreciate this if he's still here, it said the North Central Association for Accreditation. And as we know, they changed their name some time ago to the Higher Learning Commission. Certainly, we don't want them to come and visit our campus and see one of our policies that refers to their own name. So this is presented for the first reading, and we'll bring it back to you at the next meeting. Those are the 2 major changes.
But they're coming on the 16th.
I know.
Okay, I'm just asking.
But we'll send them the updates, and we'll make sure they know that it was in a first reading.
Okay.
So it's just like, you're reading along, and all of a sudden you read North Central Accreditation, and it wakes you up. So,
Wake them up.
we had somewhere or another missed that one for several years.
Well, it was time to go through it again anyway.
Yeah, and what we're doing is we're continuing. Several months ago, you asked that we continue to go through each section. So that's what we're trying to do to get them updated.
And they appreciate they do, don't they, Scott? I want you to go through your,
And we appreciate your suggestions, or if you notice something that we need to correct, certainly the revisions or your comments are welcomed and appreciated.
So on certain policies such as this, do you have a schedule in mind that you think these ought to be reviewed yearly or 3 years, something like that?
We're going to
What
try
the-
to set them up on a 3-year rotation. To get them all updated, it's going to take us just a little bit longer, but once we get that, then it'll be every one of them every 3 years. And we're going to divide up amongst the VPs the primary responsibility for that. You know, we may be working with deans or division chairs or something like that. So I don't think we'll have as massive of changes and updates in the future when we go in the 3-year rotation.
Do you have any policies out there that you see need to be updated on an annual basis?
Any policies that what?
annual basis.
That we have to change on an annual
We'll
basis?
review on an annual basis.
We get updates from the Department of Education related to compliance on a regular basis. So we have actually had to put a policy in place and then revise it within 6 months. So that's what we try to monitor pretty quickly, you know, if we get an update requirement. And a lot of those relate to purchasing and procurement policies in the business section related to federal expenditure of federal funds or grant monies, things like that. So those are what the usual updates are. And then anything to do with safety, security, Title IX, Clery Act, those kinds of things, we get frequent updates.
Tell them what Clery Act is.
The Jean Clery Act is campus safety, and there's a number of requirements, categories of crimes that we have to track and report each year, and they update those, and we have to publish an annual report. And our security staff, Josh Thompson, they've been trained extensively and keep those updated. So we have to change those quite a bit.
And please, board, if you have a question for, you know, we use jargon, unfortunately, and,
Sure.
and thank you, Mr. Malone, Trustee Malone, for letting us realize that. We use jargon, and I promise you, we're apologizing, but we will make sure that if you don't know, please ask us, and we'll explain that one to you. So, I think all educators do.
Another one that changes is VAWA, the Violence Against Women Act, and that dovetails kind of with the Clery Act on campus safety. So those are other revisions we have to keep track of. They update them and revise them. Department of Ed will send out guidance or colleague letters or things like that. So.
All right, thank you. Next up, we have the communications position. So, Andrea, you have the floor.
Good evening. So let's start over. In June, I will be completing my second year as marketing and public PR director. And a couple months ago, President Nolte approached me and had a discussion that maybe it's time that we add a third person to our marketing PR team. So we've had some discussion back and forth. And so where I am today, and maybe we could have some discussion with President Nolte as what is his expectation for this third person coming to the team. I know he said that he feels that we need to be a little bit more visible. Some of you may have expressed interest that we need to be more visible, and adding a third person may help with this visibility. So if you look, I have listed what they would be doing. So what I've been doing for 2 years is trying to get a full grasp of marketing and PR in a direction where we need to go. This past year, I would like to say I've been really reaching out to the city, to the county, to the chamber, really working on those relationships, on the networking for the college, being at places. This morning I was at the chamber coffee at Guyman Petra with the chamber. I saw Ford County, I saw city. I went to Dodge City Night in Topeka a month ago. A couple months ago, I was at the Higher Education Day. So I'm trying to get out and about a little bit more. Justin, my assistant, he does all of the graphic design work that you see out on Facebook or in the newspaper. He is right now, we are revamping all of our program cards that are used for recruiting purposes. We are going to be designing a new view book again for recruiting purposes. He does all the outline for all of the schedules, the catalog. So he is a pretty busy guy as well. So I think President Nolte's thinking is we need to add a third person to help with more articles and more communication pieces. So I think now I would like to bring President Nolte in and maybe some discussion with the board as to what are your thoughts, where do we need to be, what do you need to see more from marketing and PR?
Thank you, Andrea. When I first got here, it was really interesting. I guess almost 3 years ago now. It's kind of funny. Dave Whitmore, Dave was in charge of HR and also in charge of marketing and all those kind of things. Well, I was used to, in my last 3 institutions, having a department of marketing and as well as we call them in education, we call them PIOs, public information officer. And I had matter of fact, I had a whole department of PIOs. And so I was used to someone making sure that we were on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, all the things that go on now, and you can see that every week. And so I thought it was very important. Marketing is extremely busy, but I think this is kind of almost like a stool. This is the third leg. And I felt like it was very, very important to get this, because I know they have to sometimes go other places to get things written. And I was thinking this is a great opportunity for us to get out there. This thing is changing every day, as we all know. I mean, look at Facebook. Facebook is old now, to a certain extent. But there's all sorts of things out there now that people are looking at, as far as just like the question you asked earlier about information on our welding program. Well, we need to make sure that we're out there in the right venues to get those things done. And so that's why I think this is very, very important. And it's as far as recruiting and marketing, this is where we need to be.
I do have a technical writer. She works in the library, and her degree is in technical writing. So the articles, I just give her suggestions and ideas. So that is where our writing comes from. So that's just a little extra added. What kind of questions do you all have, or where do you see us lacking in visibility that we can improve on?
Well, when I read this, I put in my notes position reports to Director of Marketing, Public Information, and I wrote in and recruiting.
I'm not recruiting.
Well, shouldn't the marketing and public information and recruiting be attached at the hip?
We do
so to speak?
We do work well together. Stephanie, would you like to talk a little bit?
Like our recruiting materials, like Andrea mentioned, the view book, the program cards that we're coming out with, the catalog. Yes, it all works together. And so if we have information that comes out that we want to get to the community, we usually call our PR department, help us advertise or market that piece.
So are you saying that you feel that we should be out helping recruit as well, that we are recruiters as well as marketing and PR?
I think you at least should be working with recruiters to get the materials they need, and possibly going out even and making presentations, because you are the Director of Public Information.
So, like I said, what I've been doing is I went to Higher Education Day, I went to Dodge City Night in Topeka. I'm at events, but I'm not necessarily the spokesperson to talk about the programs. That is with admissions, but we've been working with admissions on what they are wanting and needing as pieces to present to students. So, for example, the presentation that you saw from Justin Weil, that has to go on our website like tomorrow. And I've already spoken to him and like, all that information we can use as a template to use on our website because we're going to be meeting, I'm working with Dr. Jane and Mike to beefing up our website to use as part of our marketing and our recruiting tool. Am I clarifying? Did that make sense, Dan? Okay.
I wish I could have shown you the brochures about 3 years ago. They needed work. And I mean, and I'll be honest, and I'm not trying to cause anybody any grief, but they were just pieces of paper that were kind of folded and had a picture on them. We want to get past that. We want to make sure we want to be a competitor. Dodge City Community College needs to compete with all the other 19 as well as other places. And so I want to make sure that she has and we have all the right materials to do that with.
I'd like to comment. I think you need to be cloned. And I'll tell you right now that I support this position because when I was at Dodge City Nights, you were there. Last night at the Government Relations, you were there. I don't know how you do what you do. And the fact that I came back and asked one question is, why wasn't Dodge City Community College represented at Hutchinson at this little fair that middle schoolers were going to from all over the country, or from all over our state? And within 3 weeks, the other day, you guys had us registered for next year's fair that these kids are coming to. So I think it's happening, but I don't know where you guys find the time. And marketing will make the college.
Well, just like
besides the professors and everybody, but
I'm gonna
you
brag
got to
on-
market us.
I'm going to brag on her one more time, I think, maybe more than that. But yesterday, I was very uneasy about last night. And the first thing I did was call her in and said, I'm uneasy. And within a matter of an hour, she had it all put together. And I mean, and there's a lot more to it than just up there. And so I was proud of all our group putting things together, and she was part of that, and a big part of that.
My question is, are those people available? Can we find somebody?
Can we?
And especially for 15.
I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to be very picky if you approve this position on who I bring into my team. I want somebody that has a great personality, somebody that has great people skills. I'm not going to find somebody that will just fill the spot. I have high expectations. I feel I have high expectations of Justin, and you can ask Justin, I'm on him all the time, asking, not micromanaging, but asking him, where is he? What are you working on? Following up. So I'm going to be very particular who I bring in. I've also invited a board member to sit on the hiring committee because I feel that's important to have a say represented from our Board of Trustees. So is it going to be hard? Yes, it probably is going to be hard with the money factor. But I'm going to see who's out there and what's out there. I don't want to bring somebody in that's going to be here 6 months and move on. So I'm going to have my work cut out for us if you approve this position. But I do want to address, what are you guys wanting, or what kind of visibility are you wanting that we're not doing currently? Gary.
Okay. So some months ago, I brought this idea to Dr. Nolte about, having somebody out there write about the college, putting out, the positive things that we're doing here, to look into the different medias, because we all think about radio and print, but that's old. Like we heard today with Justin, there's so many different ways that now these people are going to be in touch with what kids today are looking at. And those days just don't work. So somebody that's a good writer that can tell the great things that are happening in the school, marketing is everything. We've got to sell our story. If we want to compete in our area and compete in the nation, we have to tell our story. So I want somebody that will do that.
Andrea, I just want to ask you, who updates all your social media daily? Who's making sure that there's something new to look at so it's not stagnant?
I do. Justin does. He schedules different events, different things that is happening. He pre-schedules those, so those go up. I try to get something on Facebook every day, and then it goes to our Twitter account. I'm new at LinkedIn, so right now I'm not that consistent, but I dabbled in that a little bit, so I do.
As the PR arm that also works with recruiting.
Mhm.
Do you do Snapchat? Because that's, I don't know. I have been told that Snapchat and Instagram, nobody except the old people do Facebook.
Snapchat, our student life is really good with Snapchat at different events. I'm per se not a Snapchat. What I found to be successful is like what Justin Weil said, Facebook Live. I'll go on and do Facebook Live. Actually today, my assistant Justin said, we need to get you, I forgot what he called it, a gizmo, that you put your phone in so it's steady because I'm not the most steady hand. But I've found that Facebook Live doing recorded interviews, what's current and happening? Yes. So I'm a firm believer of Facebook. I can tell you right now we have 4,100 followers on Facebook, which is a lot. Can it be more? Yes. But the most important thing is if you're on there and you go in and you share it, you just keep sharing and sharing and sharing. And I have a good support on faculty and the different clubs, and we all do share each other's information. So that's, I hope I answered your question.
You did.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Terry.
Are we doing any direct contact with the Hispanic community, home visits or anything of that nature?
Well, I would not in that capacity, Terry, but we do outreach to our Hispanic community. And if Dr. Hawarda wanted to speak a little bit about Jorge Estrella and what he's doing in his department. But in addition to that, we have our Adult Learning Center, which many of you are familiar with, over on east side of town, on Avenue G. We serve several hundred students a year that go through that program, 4 or 5, upwards of 600 students in a given year, accessing GED classes in Spanish, as well as English language learners accessing our English as a second language courses. So we have Andrea helps them with their marketing down there, does a really nice job. Brandy Ferguson's a director. She also does a variety of things that help market that program and try to expand our reach there. She attends Cargill Advisory Board meetings. I mean, I know she's out at local businesses doing like table tents, setting stuff out like that, flyers. So there's a variety of different things that we're doing there for outreach to the Hispanic community. Also with the dairy, Forget Me Not Farms. We offer ESL classes down there at the dairy. We have 2 adjunct instructors that teach reading, writing, listening, and speaking. And we've been doing that now for maybe a year and a half, going very well. I just met with them recently. In fact, they'd like us to increase our imprint, which I will work towards, but we need a tad bit more enrollment there. But nonetheless, things are going really well. They've been very supportive of us. And then, of course, we still do, we get a bunch of students from National, Cargill. So that's kind of what we're doing as a whole as a college. And as of right now, our overall enrollment, and Stephanie can speak to this if I get it wrong, we're probably at close to about 40% Hispanic enrollment. So I think our college does a very nice job working with that population and reaching out to that population.
Yes, ma'am.
The one thing I hope we're not missing is our Ford County communities like Spearville and Buckland, and making sure that we have somebody over there once in a while to promote the college at some of their like fun days or whatever. And
Stephanie can speak to this as well, but admissions does a lot of things as it regards to that, so she can go down the list of different things that they do, as well as technical and what we do with concurrent enrollment.
Okay.
And presently, you probably put in my board report, I'm out right now doing visits, high school visits. Tomorrow I'll be in Ransom and Jetmore. Buckland's on the list. They may be next week. Spearville, I spoke to their principal last week, so we're in communication with
You're not going to have to give your report now, are you?
So we do a lot of things in our service area, making sure that we're meeting those needs and getting our name out there.
With recruitment, yes, we hit our target area a little more with what we do and how we recruit from that area, because that's where most of our students come from, is our service area. One thing I forgot to mention before is we do financial aid workshops with our area target schools, and our financial aid department will go in and talk, about the FAFSA and filling out the FAFSA and helping them fill out the FAFSA. So we do workshops as well too on different topic areas.
Who sets up the tours for the college when the kids come in?
That's in the admissions department.
Admissions?
Yeah.
Compliment to
actually-
you because I met with Cimarron parent and they said it was phenomenal.
Oh, fabulous.
And we're trying to get our vocational technical recruiter back over there, but we had a young lady who's our young lady that broke her foot?
Jessica Higa is one of our admissions reps, and she broke her foot in places. So she's
A horse stepped on her foot.
Well, I have a question too about those small communities, the papers.
Mhm.
Those people read their local paper. Do we have something in those papers?
So whenever I send a news article out, I have a media contact group, and it goes to all of the outlying newspapers. So Vincent gets it from the Globe, it goes to the Montezuma, it goes to Spearville, it goes to Hutch, it goes widespread, it goes to the radio stations. So it just doesn't stay here. I do get it out. The other thing that we put in place I want to say after Christmas in January 2017 was a request form for all faculty and staff to go into my DC3 web, and if they want something designed, a news story, a media release, business cards, name tags, there is a spot that they can go in and request stories about their program to help promote what's going on. So many things are going on, I can't keep track of it and I don't know. And so I sort of put it back on them to help come up with the stories so we can at least get a lead, so I can form questions, so we can get the news out of the positives that are happening on campus.
If I could, I think to address your question, we do a great deal, I think, from various angles to reach our Hispanic community members, but my recommendation would be a preferred or desired quality might be someone who's bilingual, who could also communicate in Spanish to those populations, either through the local Spanish newspaper or in other ways, maybe on air.
Okay, that's a good idea, thank you. Other questions?
I think it sounds great, Andrea, and I'd make the motion to approve the position.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
The only discussion I have is, I told Dr. Nolte beforehand that this is a new position and it's apparently not very costly. But I'm concerned about the Woodburn years when we added 25 new positions at the cost of over $800,000. We moved the payroll from $6 to $10 million, a 60% increase. And we saw virtually no increase in students, and we had added no programs, and we added no faculty. I hope this works. I agree. I don't question the judgment of adding a recruiter. I think it's a good idea. I just think we need to review our situation and see if we can move the needle. Maybe this will, but do it. I think this is a great idea for it.
Dr. Nolte, if I may, I got your email and I put some numbers together on where we have been for the last.
Thanks.
So in case that came up as a question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Beta.
Well, this is not hiring a recruiter. This is hiring someone to work in the communication office.
Well, I hope that it does some good on recruiting.
It's marketing.
That's the idea.
Yeah, it's marketing, but that's helping recruiting.
I would
If you'll take a look, we're running about 480,000 behind last year. But that's not to say we don't have some positions that need to be filled. And going into next year, we've got like how many faculty we need to add, bring 50% faculty. But comparing years to years, we're running about 40,000 below what we did last year.
Good.
So that's 480,000.
And I'm also going to be adding, I'm going to be adding speech,
I know.
adding English, adding social studies. So those are the 3 that I just signed off. So my goal is to add more faculty, definitely.
But he wanted to know where
I
we
know.
were this year compared to the last 2 years. And
Thank you.
I'll get the other question you had on the grant funds to you.
What social studies position are you adding?
Jane?
You've already got psychology and sociology, right?
We have a.
Wait, let's finish this one
Yeah.
first, okay?
Call the question.
Good call. Yeah.
We went on a Jeep trail. I'm not ready for that yet.
I'm sorry.
Yes. All right, there is a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Jade, if you want to follow up on that question.
We have a social sciences division, which includes history, social psychology, sociology, economics, business, and computer science currently, and as well as education. What we've noticed this past year, particularly with our growth in offering courses to our service area through the high schools, that we have a high demand for history, psychology, and sociology in particular at this time. And so most consistently those classes fill up, those instructors all have overloads. However, in doing the look at the data, we didn't feel that we could justify a full-time position in any one of those areas. And so what we're looking for is the position announcement is set up so that we're looking for a person qualified to teach history primarily, so a master's in history, plus qualifications to teach in another of those social sciences. And so we decided that if we listed this position as a history position, then only historians would be looking at the ad. And so we decided to label it as a social sciences instructor, hoping, I'm confident that we can find someone who has a master's in history qualified to teach for us in history, but also additional hours in one of those other social sciences. And so then that person will teach history and whatever other social science he or she may be qualified to teach in. And so I think that's going to help us meet our demand, both on our campus and in our outreach and concurrent enrollment.
So just to make me understand.
Sure.
So you get a master's, you have a master's degree in history. How many graduate hours do you need in another subject?
18.
18. Okay, thank you.
But, you know, it may...
That's not too hard to come in.
And it's possible we might find someone who has 2 masters in various areas. We already see that among our current faculty. So that was the strategy here, but thank you for asking.
All right, thanks. So moving on, so item G, men and women's basketball coaches, employment appointments. So Dave, you've got the floor.
The only thing I'd like to see us add is when we, on any type of position that we have, like whether we're inside the budget or outside it.
Good. I totally understand. Thank you.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I know you probably thought you were done with me, but I'm back. It's like a bad penny, always showing up again. It's time in our cycle for our coaches to renew the appointments of our basketball coaches. And so we have our men's head coach and assistant coach, and our women's head coach and assistant coach. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with how we do that, but on our coaches, instead of everybody being renewed in June, like all other employees, coaches are staggered by their season. And I might take this opportunity just for a little advertising that I would like to see that changed at some point, because it's really a mess to try to maintain. In this case, these folks have had to wait to get their 2% raise after everybody else had already gotten theirs because their schedule's pushed back. So it makes it kind of confusing because they're wanting to know why they didn't get their raise, and we're trying to tell them, well, sorry, you have to wait a couple months till it's your turn. So sometime in the future, real quick, I hope, we can look at that and say we'd like to move those all back. The reason that was done, and I kind of hate to get on the sideline here, but back in 2011, we changed the structure of that for coaches, because at that time we had contracts, and if someone left early, then we were, had to pay out the rest of the contract. And so we no longer do the contracts for coaches, we have appointments. And so there's not that need to pay out at the end. So it would be okay if everybody went back to the same year from June to July. So at some point, hopefully you can consider that. Any questions on that? 2 of the coaches were getting increases of 2%, the other 2 were not, and that's because they were hired after the point of the increase. So we watched that.
Any questions for Dave? All right.
Okay.
Next up.
All right, thank you, and I'm sure they appreciate that as well. The next one, if you want me to stay up here, actually, we did have our Title V instructional design specialist, which we were hoping to present tonight. And this morning he called and said that he had taken another position. So we won't talk about him other than we wanted to choke him for taking another position. And then next is our human resource specialist. And that is to fill we call it a human resource specialist. It used to be an assistant position. And we were wanting to fill that. We haven't filled the human resource director position yet. And so this is the first step that we can take and move forward with that. We actually have someone in mind that we would like to present, and that's Christy Olschwager. She has been working in TRIO for the past 3 years, I believe, 2 years. And so she's doing a tremendous job. We've been able to work together this week to kind of figure out what's going on with HR so somebody else knows, so that hopefully you won't see me again. Anyway, we'll see.
I wouldn't say that.
Well, maybe not. Maybe not. So any questions with that?
She has a master's.
She does. We are very pleased with her credentials. She has a master's in human resources, and she is scheduled to take her SHRM, which is a certification for human resources, in a couple months.
Yeah, June 28th.
June 28th, so she's well on her way. So very pleased.
All right. You want to talk about the CDL coordinator?
Absolutely. And then the last position we have this evening is our CDL training coordinator. We've been without one since December, and we've been advertising and didn't have much response. And we were pleased to find out that we had someone on staff who's actually been in our maintenance department and has taught some classes, former truck manager and driver, and that is Brian Johnson, that has agreed to take on that responsibility. And so we would like to hire him in that position.
And Brian is here too?
Brian is here, yes. Brian Johnson.
One thing, I was reading through this, like the job summary and responsibilities, and I think in all these positions like this, I'd like to see something in there that's some requirement to get out there and recruit and build the program. Like what we're doing with the marketing and this spokesperson, whatever you want to do, is things that we can do to always build and grow. And so, yes, ma'am.
Can I add, part of that position he's taken over works directly with the lineman program, so a majority of his students come in there from that program, and usually anywhere from 5 to 8 from that program, and then hopefully open it up to others, the non-traditional students, and you want to fill in on some of your others
Yeah,
that you've had.
Ryan and I were doing some math, and we're going to have to limit the class to approximately 8 students in order to fulfill the requirements for the skills testing. At 24 hours per student, times 8 students, it's just not quite enough hours even in a whole month. Again, I'm taking this over without much prior knowledge of what was being done before, but I have 12 years experience as an owner-operator, and I operated 3 trucks and 4 employees, so I thought when I retired in 2011 I'd be done with trucking, but now I realize I think I'm just going to take off in another direction with it. So look forward to joining the tech team.
How long
Sure.
is the class?
Sorry?
How long is the class?
Right now we have a schedule for 5 weeks.
I can fill in, thank you, Yogi. I'll fill in a few of the blanks, if you will. Well, his nickname's Yogi, sorry. Brian, so
What?
Yogi.
Yogi?
Yogi, yeah, like Yogi Bear. I call him Yogi Bear. So, yeah, he's had about hundreds of thousands of hours behind the wheel of a truck, owned his own business, obviously still has an active Class C CDL, so very qualified. He's been great as a team member here on campus, works well with staff, students, so he's going to be a great addition to our CDL program over there. But to get to Terry's question, just to kind of fill in some of the blanks or some of the background. So traditionally, that class has been offered in 3 4-week sessions. So spring, it's been offered 3 times, and then in the fall, we offered 3 times for a span of 4 weeks. And then, depending on the summer, they've offered it anywhere between 1 to 2 times over a summer. We take, the max has been 8 students. Yogi and I have discussed increasing that to 10, but if we do that, we'll have to expand from the 4-week to a 5-week or a 6-week, because what he was speaking to is it's mandated that students get at least 24 to 28 hours of drive time before they test. And so when you got 8 to 10 students in a class, each of them need 24 to 28 hours. You're talking about a couple hundred of hours that he has to dedicate to, really only 1 or 2 students at a time, if you will, while they're in the truck, making sure they're getting the proper instruction that they need. It's not, to kind of give a comparable, one of the other colleges in our area that has a CDL program would be Seward County. Seward County actually has 3 full-time CDL instructors. They have a lead instructor, and then they have 2 other instructors. And having 3, they're able to split their duties, because to get the Class CDL, there's a writing portion and then a driving portion. So their lead instructor just does a classroom, prepares them for the written portion, and then the other 2 do the drive time. Yogi will be taking on both responsibilities, but to Gary's point, there is demand out there, no doubt about it. Yeah, I invited.
Ask Joanne.
Joanne came to my office. Joanne called me a few months ago, said, hey, I need to come out and visit with you about some of the area needs. First thing she threw on my desk was CDL, and the great need that we have in this area. So I'm hoping that as we continue to not only recruit, because the demand is there, but we also obviously, retain those students and then get those students certified, that we'll be able to, grow that program past where we're at now and add another instructor or another, even another instructor after that. So Yogi's very competent. He's going to do a great job, going to be a great teammate, and I think he's the one that's really going to help us build this program to where it needs to be and meet that local need that we have here in this area.
Joanne, do you want to say something?
Yeah, we have the .C has jobs, so we get a lot of postings on that particular one, but we also do a lot of business retention and expansion surveys, and that is one of the biggest needs that we're hearing from our manufacturers, our distributors. But then you also think about public transportation and bus drivers and the water department and sanitation. I mean, there are so many other areas that a CDL is required for our public entities as well. And so it definitely is a very high needed area for our community, and I really do hope that we can get something going together to work with those businesses to meet their demands.
Especially with our ag.
Oh yeah, it's tremendous need.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you very much. If I may, I want to acknowledge Justin Hugert real quick. He's sitting back there. When I got involved in CDL, my knowledge was very limited. Justin has really helped, and Justin has a CDL license as well. So he's been very instrumental in helping guide me along the way, and then Yogi will pick up the rest. But I appreciate Justin, all the time and effort that he's put into the CDL program. He really went an extra mile helping us getting our truck updated. He went through that, and for lack of a better term, there was some real needs there. In fact, which was unbeknownst to me, sorry, Jane. I get to talking with my hand. There you go. The driving department, examiner. They wouldn't allow us to take the driving portion of the test no more because our truck was out of compliance. So I really appreciate all the work that Justin put into helping us get that back put together and on the road, literally. So
I honestly believe that if the marketing grows and this program starts, you're going to be needing another instructor.
Yeah. But I wanted to ask you about equipment. You're talking about a truck. What do we do about semi-truck?
it's the semi truck
Oh, it's a semi.
portion. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
just using the generic term truck, but it's the semi truck and trailer. So the big one. That's what they'll be using. That's what they train on.
What color is that truck?
Is it blue? Oh, is it white?
Why can't it be?
I've seen it. I promise I've seen it.
Why can't it be purple?
Okay. No. Well,
Based on what I've heard in this room this evening, it's a 10-year-old truck. If we'd like to have a purple truck, perhaps we could look into that.
Touche.
But to go along with that,
Cost us
Dr.
money.
Nolte, you actually raise a very good point. Seward County's truck
I know.
it's flashy.
That's
It's
why-
got Seward County splatter all over it. So
That's what
we'll have to look into that. We'll have to get with Veda.
It's another
Look
great
into
place
that.
for industry partners to come in and help support us. And-
Yeah, absolutely.
I have another question about where you're going to do this. Where do you learn to park?
We have a partnership with Western State Bank Expo Center, so they allow us to train out there. The classwork's actually done in our facility down at Beeson, and then we do the training out there at the Expo Center. Thank you.
I think this is exactly what we need to be doing, is listening to our local industries and seeing what roles such as this we can fill. It makes sense for us to do so. So I think this is exactly what we should be doing. So thank you. All right. Any more questions for Dave on these? And I would entertain a motion for all three of these items on employee appointments to be considered in one approval.
I move approval.
And that's all three, right? So
Yeah.
we're clear. Is there a second on that?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. Okay. Let's see, for unfinished business, there's nothing. We've already done new business with the 404. We did move two items from the consent agenda. Carly, you're going to call those K and L then?
Okay.
All right, so consent, what was formerly on the consent agenda, 1A, approval of bills, vouchers, and encumbrance for pay. We'll discuss that now.
My question is, how can you possibly know that the checks are being written for what you would consider a legal or legitimate expense?
Okay.
You never review the bills.
You
as far as
know, I did, looked over every one of them.
Okay. But you don't report to us that you reviewed the bills.
Well, you were given the thing. Well, maybe to answer your question, Dan, I think, so next month, Sandy, I had the conversation with Sandy. So I was looking at these, concerned about a few of the items, and figuring out, what went to what and how it went. And so she's going to give a presentation next week on that and how to decipher the code.
Next month.
Next month. So will your questions be answered then? I hope so, because I had some of the same questions, met with Sandy today, and hopefully we'll get some clarity on how what we're seeing in these reports, and the code tells you what department it's in. So
Okay.
that'll help.
So next meeting, can we have one of those printouts just so we can
Dude,
follow?
did you not receive these? My apologies, I just
So we can
assumed.
follow along better, so.
Okay.
No, but we don't get those.
I want to do, that's one thing I want to do another workshop on, is because I think it's important for y'all to know what we're spending in those bills. And I'm sorry that all of you didn't get it.
I think we do have a fiduciary responsibility.
Yeah, we do.
And we need to
Agreed.
live up to that.
Right, but I received one, I looked over every line item.
Okay.
And he asked some really good questions. We bought cigarettes, and I thought, what we buy cigarettes for? And it was for they're fake cigarettes, but they were for the choir. stage secrets.
And then there was,
Prop. I'm sorry. Can you cut that out of the?
and a reciprocating trimmer, so, and so I asked the questions of what are these for, and then, what departments, and so, anyway, so, we're gonna have a presentation on that next month.
That'd be great.
Okay, so does that answer your
That
questions?
does on that one, huh?
On A
Yes.
and B?
And on B, I can't remember the room number. What happened in
Was
dorm
it
room
approval of
3?
emergency?
What happened in room 303 that cost us $7,000 to fix?
Oh, it cost a lot more than that. Bev, do you want to explain?
No, facilities had it, so go ahead.
It was a facilities responsibility.
No, but I wasn't responsible for fixing the room, so. go
Oh,
ahead.
no, I wanted you to explain why it happened.
Okay, we had extensive water damage that occurred in that room over the Christmas break. And water ran for a long time, probably 18 days. And it caused, and it shut down the HVAC system. And so all the moisture accumulated in the room. And we had extensive mold that, the pictures were unbelievable when we walked in. Swelled the door shut, and so what happened is they had to extensively gut it to the studs, pull everything out, and replace it. But we wanted it, since it's a relatively new hall, we wanted the room replaced as new, and so we were able to do that. And it was extensive, and we had an insurance claim. The insurance company worked with us pretty well, and facilities department handled it all and got it all taken care of. So in all my years over residence halls, I've never seen anything like that happen. And it was just unfortunate because it occurred over those breaks. And when our security and our res life were walking the hallways, those doors, the rooms are so well made and the doors are so tight, they could not hear the water running. Which you would think walking the hall you could hear it, but you could not hear it. So it was unfortunate, but I think they have the health certificates that have been given back to us so we can reoccupy the room. We actually shut off the wing for a little bit, take care of it all.
We had to call Phoenix in and get it all dried out,
Yeah.
make sure there's no mold and.
Yeah, did somebody intentionally leave the water on, or was it a break?
No, it was an accident.
Two RAs, our resident assistants, it was their room.
Oh.
That's what they supposedly do.
For some reason, the RAs had been tasked with cleaning the showers, which that shouldn't have happened. So we're reviewing those procedures because we want our professional maintenance staff doing the cleaning, not student RAs. So we changed our procedures and that kind of thing, so they won't be responsible for that in the future. It'll be professional maintenance staff.
But there are people in these dorms that make rounds every now and then.
Yes, yes.
During Christmas
And that was the
break,
first
so
thing we did, and we looked, and they literally were walking, and it was on the security cameras over and over.
Yeah.
They just could not hear it. So
Okay.
we're gonna look this summer. I talked with a couple of universities, and they said they do have some water pressure gauges. So during a period where there shouldn't be a lot of water use, like holidays, maybe we can install some of those and then they can be monitored from a laptop, things like that. So we'll look at some things, but it was unfortunate.
I've been through it.
You have?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Some of our students turned on the water at the Dodge City Middle School upstairs, and when we came back after Christmas break, there were 2 inches of water downstairs.
Oh, wow.
All of our books were gone and everything else we had on the floor.
Well, ours was mainly moisture accumulation in the air. It actually did not overflow the shower area, which is kind of amazing. But the mold and the moisture is not good.
All right, I would take a motion to approve items K and L, items that were removed from the consent agenda.
So moved.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All right, those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. All right, the consent agenda, motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Still have.
We still have RSVP.
Oh,
RSVP
turn the
here.
page, my bad.
Absolutely.
And on that, I understand that Debbie sent her letter of resignation. What's on there? The 7th. And have we hired somebody new to take that position? Are we looking for anybody?
Yes, I'll speak to that because I just met with the, excuse me, I just met with the president of the advisory board and he was, I guess, left. Did he leave?
No, yeah, left, he left.
Yeah, he left. So what we're going to try to do is, Debbie has finished up her grant. The business office is gonna try to help until we get, I think Dave, did you send, yeah.
We're posted.
Okay. We're interviewing, the advisory board. I will have, one of the accountants set in on the, review committee and help with the selection. And we just sponsor the program, so then we'll turn it back over to them and hopefully we'll find somebody in. But we're helping them right now for the 2 months.
Okay, and the grant time is coming for renewal, right?
Yes.
Do we have anybody in mind to help write that and present that?
Well, I think it's all done. I think did you sign off on it to submit it? Didn't you sign off? It's been submitted.
Is that mostly coming through the Ford County funding program, or is there another grant involved?
They get federal
besides
monies,
federal
United
money?
Way,
Okay.
and Fort County money. And their board will choose the person, basically.
And you're on the advisory board.
I'm
Did
on
you
the
want to
advisory
come?
board as a representative from this board. And it is a federal grant and a contract that has to be met according to their terms. And I'm very pleased with the people that are on that advisory board. They're very conscientious and, as I've said before, it's a good program and the college should be proud to sponsor it.
What percentage of money comes from the federal as opposed to the county, for example?
They can tell you.
30% is gift, but that includes, in kind. That's the college, Dodge, United Way, or Fort County. Represent 30%.
So 70% from federal. Okay. Well, I know we get I'm on Meals on Wheels board, and we get a lot of funding from the county, so. Yeah, okay, thank you.
All right. Approval to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Who had the second? Dan had the second, and Terry had the first. Okay, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, we're gonna move to executive session. Does anybody need to take a break before we go into executive session? 5-minute break, possibly. Everybody good? All right. So, Attorney Kurtz.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I recommend the board recess into executive session to discuss negotiations with the Professional Relations Committee of the Dodge City Community College Faculty Association for the 2017-2018 school year contract pursuant to the employer-employee negotiations exception to the Kansas Open Records Act, KSA 75-4319B3. The open meeting to resume in this location at 9:20 p.m. In addition to the trustees, the president, the college attorney, vice president Kawarda, vice president Herman, and Dean Osmus should be included in the executive session.
Thank you. We will move into executive session.
All in favor?
Sorry.
I move.
You move? Is there a second? Kathy, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All right. Opposed? Sorry about that.
Don't miss Kansas author Thomas Fox Averill coming to the Dodge City Community College Theater on April 12th. Tom is the author of several novels and short story collections set in Kansas. He will introduce his novel Found Documents from the Life of Nell Johnson Dewar, a unique work of fiction that explores the early settlement of Kansas. Thomas Averill will speak to the public free of charge starting at 7 p.m. on Thursday, April 12th at the Dodge City Community College Theater.
When I grow up, I want to save lives, like a superhero, and show up when people needed me.
When I grow up, I want to be a police officer, and I want to protect people too.
No matter what it is you want to achieve in the future, your journey starts here.
When I grow up, I don't know what I want to do when I grow up, but I know I want to go to college.
Dodge City Community College. Adventure awaits.
Okay, we are back in session. So there was an action taken, so
There will be action.
there will be action taken. So as a result of our executive session, so would somebody like to state the motion?
I would move that we accept the negotiated contract with the Faculty Negotiating Committee as outlined per Council Curbs. And if you'd like to elaborate on that any further, that'd be great. I'd appreciate it.
And what we'll do is we'll reduce this to an actual written contract, but the highlights are that an increase in base will be made of $1,125 for the 17-18 contract. That increases base from $33,000 to $34,125. That the salary index will remain as is without any additional vertical steps or horizontal columns. That the contract will not include a minimum number of students in order for a class to make. And that the contract provision, which includes now fair market value for instructors who primarily teach in the area of allied health, the Allied Health Division, it will remain the same without any changes.
Okay, that is the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second
A second. Any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, we'll move into executive session number 2, so.
Yes.
Groups.
Yes. Mr. Chairman, I recommend the board recess into executive session to discuss President Nolte's evaluation pursuant to the personnel matters of non-elected personnel exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act, KSA 75-4319B1. The open meeting to resume in this location at, I'm not sure how much time you.
15 minutes? 20 minutes?
Okay.
Good?
9:45?
Say 9:45.
Okay, at 9:45 p.m. In addition to the trustees, the president should be included in the executive session.
Okay. Motion?
Thank you.
And is there a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Cassie, and Florence Jean. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed, same sign. Jeremy, if you would pass it down, Glenn, I have one more for you as well.
Don't miss Kansas author Thomas Fox Averill coming to the Dodge City Community College Theater on April 12th. Tom is the author of several novels and short story collections set in Kansas. He will introduce his novel Found Documents from the Life of Nell Johnson Dewar, a unique work of fiction that explores the early settlement of Kansas. Thomas Averill will speak to the public free of charge starting at 7 p.m. on Thursday, April 12th at the Dodge City Community College Theater.
When I grow up, I want to save lives, like a superhero, and show up when people needed me.
When I grow up, I want to be a police officer, and I want to protect people too.
No matter what it is you want to achieve in the future, your journey starts here.
When I grow up, I don't know what I want to do when I grow up, but I know I want to go to college.
Dodge City Community College. Adventure awaits.
Back in session, and thank you all for rejoining us. And there was no action to be taken as a result of our executive session. And with that, we've already covered new business, so we'll say the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.